Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the December 16th, 2022 virtual meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. My name is Brian Sanchez. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I am the acting chairman of the ZBA. Somehow, the time has flown yet again, and we are at the end of the year. I hope everyone is enjoying this festive holiday season. This is also the season of giving. If you haven't yet endeavored to help those that are less fortunate this season, do not despair. Even Ebenezer Scrooge found redemption, kindness, and the childlike joy that comes from giving back to the community. Please donate your time, money, or both to help others this season. And now, on with the meeting. First, I'd like to take judicial notice of the fact that on December 8, 2022, the governor of the state of Illinois signed a disaster proclamation declaring all counties of the state of Illinois a disaster area due to the COVID-19 public health emergency. This disaster proclamation is in effect until January 8, 2023. Thus, Section 7E1 of the Open Meetings Act has been met. Second, I am making a determination pursuant to Section 7E2 of the Open Meetings Act that an in-person meeting of the board is not practical or prudent. Similarly, I am also making a determination pursuant to Section 7E5 that because of the disaster declared by the governor, it is unfeasible for at least one member of the Zoning Board of Appeals or its chief administrative officer or its chief legal officer to be physically present at the meeting place inasmuch as there is no physical meeting place. Third, this meeting will operate under the emergency rules governing the conduct of remote public board meetings and provisions for remote public participation, which are posted to the board's website. In line with these emergency rules, today's meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals is a virtual meeting that is being simulcast to the general public via live streaming. It is also being recorded. We have established these virtual hearings in keeping with the governor, the General Assembly, the mayor, and city council's goal to continue government functions while maintaining transparency and public safety. But there are technical limitations to this format that we must collectively manage, particularly with respect to the presentation of new evidence during a hearing, the ability for applicants and objectors to resolve objections or amend proposals during the hearing, and the participation of large numbers of people. As a result, any material to be presented to the board, whether by applicants or members of the public, was required to be submitted in advance of the meeting. For those who do not regularly appear before the board, I will go over a few things for those who will be participating in the meeting. One, we are operating under the emergency rules. So for all applicants, objectors, and their attorneys, if you did not send us your exhibits by the cutoff date and time, you will not be able to reference them. Two, all participants will be listed as attendees within the Zoom meeting until your matter is called. At that time, we will promote you to a panelist. Please accept the promotion. There will be a short switchover where you will lose the feed, so don't be surprised by that. Three, if you are here in opposition or support of a matter, when your matter is called, please raise your hand so that we know you are here and may transfer you to a panelist. If you are listening to this meeting via phone, please dial *9 to raise your hand. 4, once you are set as a panelist, please present your case. Board staff will be presenting the PowerPoint exhibits for everyone as we normally do, so you will not need to manage sharing your screen. 5, please be mindful of background noise and please mute yourself when you are not speaking at all times, including now. 6, in addition, please note that we have a court reporter preparing our record, so it is important that 2 people not speak at the same time. You might see me muting someone if that happens. 7, if you are an active participant in this meeting, please do not watch the live stream. This will cause audio interference. Let me repeat that. If you are an active participant in this meeting, please do not watch the live stream in tandem. 8, please make sure you identify yourself when you are speaking. This goes for attorneys, applicants, members of the public, and board commissioners. Since all of us are remote, we and our court reporters cannot always see who is talking at any given time. I will also be administering oaths for each witness individually to accommodate for this. When I do swear you in, please spell your last name. 9, if an applicant or anyone in opposition or support to the application has any technical issues presenting their case and is unable to proceed, we will attempt to continue the matter until the end of the call to create time to resolve the issues. If unsuccessful, we will continue the matter until a subsequent meeting. 10, after your matter or matters are concluded, please leave the Zoom meeting to ensure adequate capacity. If you're interested in continuing to watch our meeting, which I hope you are, I encourage you to watch the live stream, which is accessible from our website. And now on with the meeting. Pursuant to my powers as acting chairman, I hereby designate member Ann McDonald to take Angela Brooks' place as a regular member at today's meeting. So let's all welcome Ann. Now, I'd like to call this virtual meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals to order. I will take a roll call vote to establish quorum. Commissioners, after I call your name and you state that you are present, please verify that you can hear and see me. Commissioner McDonald.
I'm present and I can hear and see you.
Commissioner Esposito.
I'm present and I can hear and see you.
Commissioner Toya.
Here, and I can hear and see you.
I am present. Quorum is established. The minutes of last month's meeting have been distributed. Unless there are corrections, I move that we approve the minutes as distributed. Commissioner Toya seconds. Commissioner McDonald.
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito.
Yes.
Commissioner Toya.
Yes.
I vote yes. The minutes are approved. I move that we approve today's agenda. Commissioner Toya seconds. Commissioner McDonald.
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito.
Yes.
Commissioner Toya.
Yes.
I vote yes. The agenda is approved. Now I'm going to take continuances and withdrawals. If you have a continuance or a withdrawal, please raise your hand and we will get you promoted. Okay, anybody have a continuance or withdrawal? I did see some hands raised. We got some people promoted. If you want to unmute at this time. Douglas Raul Williams, do you have?
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. What can I do for you today?
Okay, I'm here as a community member with the World of Weed Cannabis Dispensary at 3115 West Armitage in Logan Square.
Okay.
And just to save some time, so when we submitted initially our opposition to it online, that's already been read by everyone, right? It's on record.
Yes, if you submitted it timely, it's been reviewed.
Okay. So you let me know when you're ready, then we'll start.
Oh, that's going to be called later in the.
Oh,
in the
gotcha.
call.
Okay.
Right now, we're just
Yeah.
taking continuances and withdrawals. We're not hearing that matter. That matter is actually at the that's 432-22-S. That is actually the last item on the call.
Okay.
So it will be the last calendar number that we call today.
Gotcha, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for a continuance or a withdrawal? Lupe Marino, you have your hand
Yes,
raised.
good morning.
Yes, good morning. What can I do for you?
I too am here for the same issue that Douglas just talked about with you. So I sent in our paperwork and I'm ready, and I guess we'll see each other again later in the day.
Yes, we will. Yes, we
Thank
will. All right, thank you. Any other continuances or withdrawals? Okay. All right, well, let's get on to the call then. First up is calendar number 456-22-S. This is 4211 West Madison Street. If you are here in objection or support of this matter, please raise your hand and we will get you promoted.
It's unmuted.
Okay, for this one, we've got Almetris Snulligan. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes,
Oh, excellent, excellent. Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Almetra Snulligan, and my first name is spelled Almetris as in Sam. Last name Snulligan, spelled S as in Sam, N as in Nancy, U as in up, L as in love, L as in language, I as in igloo, G as in go, A as in apple, N as in Nancy, Snulligan. And my address, I will be serving as the applicant representative in this special use application. And my address is 1017 North Austin Boulevard, Chicago, Illinois, 60651.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. And I see we have Kareem Musawir. Kareem, could you state your name and address, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Kareem Musawir. I am located at 221 North LaSalle Street in Chicago, and I am a land use consultant on this case.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceeding?
I do.
Thank you. And the board recognizes your expertise based on many past appearances. Miss Snulligan, I also, at least on my witness list, I've got a Katie Stanley. Is she going to be joining us?
Yes, she's right here next to me.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, could you state your name and address, please?
Yes, my name is Katie Stanley. My address is 1017 North Austin Boulevard.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
I do.
Excellent. Okay, Ms. Snulligan, what brings you here today?
I am both the manager and the property owner of KJD Unlimited LLC and the applicant for KJD Salon Suites LLC. And I am requesting a special license for the KJD Salon Suites LLC.
Yes, you know what, and before we go any further, let me also get Nancy Radzovich from the Department of Planning and Development sworn in, and she can read the department's recommendation with regard to this matter. Nancy, are you on? Oh, actually, wait, no, you know what? Because we've
Yeah, I
got
don't
an
need to read
expert,
this one.
I'll read this one. Okay, this is the recommendation for calendar number 456-22-S. The Department of Planning and Development recommends approval of the proposed hair and nail salon. Okay, all right, so Ms. Snulligan, so you're here for a hair salon. Please, if you could let us know about, you know, the hours, the employees that you intend on having, your experience with hair salons, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Well, let me just tell you a little bit about myself. The space will have several stations, as you can see from the layout in the drawing. My daughter and I, Katie Stanley, who's here with me now, we will be co-managers, and we are a mother and daughter team. We are lifelong residents of the West Garfield community. We are both graduates of Westinghouse High School, which was once known as a vocational school. I studied and I got my degree from Eastern Illinois University after studying vocational education at Westinghouse. My background is culinary arts, food service, childcare and development. I am a certified teacher. I have a master's degree. The adjacent building where we're proposing this business, I ran an after-school program for the children in the West Garfield community from 1999 until 2014. I'm a lifelong resident of this area, and the after-school program in which I ran was based on youth entrepreneurship, technology, and life skills. One of my main supporters of my after-school program was the Intel Foundation. We received over $250,000 for the funding to support my after-school program. The Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, Advocate Bethany Hospital supported us, the Department of Children and Family Services. We were a licensed daycare center for several years at the address of 4213 as well as 4211 West Madison.
Thank you, Ms. Snulligan. If we could get to the hair and nail salon, though, I do appreciate the background, but we do have a lot of cases today.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And my daughter just wrote me a note. So we're hoping to employ 8 to 10 employees. The hours will be from Monday through Saturday from 8 till 7 p.m.
And do either of you have any experience in hair and nails? I mean, are you licensed cosmetologists or anything like that?
Katie could speak
Yeah.
on that.
I'm actually starting esthetician school upcoming this month. But I do eyebrows right now, and I'm very interested in the beauty industry. I also have a degree from Howard University, and I want to introduce the concept of beauty therapy. So I think that'll be really good for the Black community, something different, and some smooth transition for the Black community to transition into therapy through beauty.
And how many employees do you intend on hiring?
8 to 10 to start.
And the employees, I'm guessing you'll make sure that they have the licenses.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, excellent. Kareem, would you like to weigh in on this one?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members of the board. This is as you see, a neighborhood institution as a family, and this beauty salon is one that their next enterprise that they're establishing in their property. And we've met with Alderman Jason Irvin, and he has submitted a letter of approval for this application. We believe that they will meet all of the standards required for the operation of special use. Hope that the board, hope that the board sees fit to approve the application.
Any questions from the board on this matter? Hearing none, I think we have what we need on this one. We'll take it under advisement.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up is calendar number 457-22-S. This is 816 West 103rd Street. If you are here in support or objection of this matter, please raise your hand and we will get you promoted. I can see we've got Cassandra Wooden Seawood. Good morning.
Good morning.
And then I also have on my list Daryl Thomas. Is he going to be joining us today?
He's actually, I guess, at one of his work sites, but I have him on speaker because he wasn't able to log in. Daryl, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, excellent. Let me get you sworn in. Cassandra, could you state your name and address, please?
Cassandra Wooden Seawood, CASSANDRA WOODEN-SEAWOOD. Site address is 816 West 103rd Street, 60643.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
Yes,
And Daryl, could you state your name and address, please?
Yes, sir. Daryl, DARRYL, Thomas, THOMAS, 10616 South Low Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, 60628.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Now we're going to go to Nancy Radzovich at the Department of Planning and Development to get her sworn in, and then she can read the recommendation. Nancy, how are you this morning? Oh, you're muted right now.
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Could you state your name and role, please?
Yes. Nancy Radzovich. That's R-A-D as in David, C as in zebra, E-V as in Victor, I-C-H. I'm an assistant commissioner with the Zoning Bureau in the Department of Planning and Development.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
I do.
Thank you. Could you read the department's recommendation, please?
Absolutely. The Department of Planning and Development recommends approval of the proposed hair salon. The department finds that this proposal complies with all applicable standards of the zoning ordinance, is in the interest of public convenience, and will not have a significant adverse impact on the general welfare of the neighborhood. The department also finds the hair salon will be compatible with the character of the surrounding area in terms of building and scale and operating characteristics. Lastly, the proposed hair salon is designed to promote pedestrian safety and comfort.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Wooden Seawood, could you tell us what brings you here today?
good morning, Commissioner and fellow board members. I'm actually coming to attempt to get the special use done for 816 West 103rd as Legacy Suites, a salon that's not only replacing one that was originally in that particular location, but also helping students that are coming out of cosmetology school at Dunbar Vocational, as well as helping parties that work at the previous salon to regain their employment. We will have 4 seats in this particular salon. And one of the biggest reasons why we're doing this is because the senior citizen location, which is maybe 100 feet away from us, actually wants to be able to have someone to help them to feel a little bit more upbeat. So we thought this was the perfect place. I purchased this building a couple of years ago with in mind to help build the community. I'm a resident of the community, have been since 2005. And I'm also a person that's big on business development. My daughter is a licensed cosmetologist, and I have another daughter that's a massage therapist, which she's at one of the locations further down the street. But we thought this would be awesome for the area because right now we are servicing seniors who can't afford it. And most of the people who are coming here have already said, hey, we're gonna make one day special for all of our seniors to be taken care of. So this is what we're trying to do in our community.
Great, thank you. How many employees do you intend on having?
We're going to have 4 at this location.
Okay, and those employees, will they be licensed?
Yes.
Okay, and what are the hours that you intend to have?
7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
What days of the week?
Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, we're going to do Tuesday through Sunday, and then they're going to do Monday as a free day for our seniors within the community.
Okay. All right, and you've got Daryl here. Is he just here for support, or what's his role?
He's actually a community resident that's been there for 10 years, and I just wanted him to be here as a person who understands the need for this business here, as well as knowing what was in this location before that was taken away.
Okay, and Daryl, Daryl, this was before before Miss Wood and Seawood bought this building. This was a hair salon, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. And is it your belief that there's a need for a hair salon at this spot?
Yes, sir, because there's nothing around that's available for the seniors, and it's a beautiful location, and they did a beautiful job to the building as well, and it's just in need.
Okay. Any questions from the board? We have what we need. We will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you and happy holidays.
Happy
Thank
holidays.
you. Holidays to you.
All right, next up is 458-22-S. This is 2042 West Cermak. If you are here in objection or support of this matter, please raise your hand and we will get you promoted. Okay. Yes, we've got Araceli Gomez. If you could unmute and state your name and address, please.
Yeah, I'm actually here on behalf of them, cause I'm gonna be the translator, if that's fine.
Oh, okay, you're the translator?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Could you state your name and address and I'll get you sworn in as a translator?
Do they have to turn in turn on the camera?
If you have an internet connection, then you can you can do it, but if you don't have Wi-Fi, it's okay, you can leave it off because sometimes it interferes.
Okay, thank you. So you said state my name, right?
And your name and address, please.
My name is Luis Esquivel, Luis. Last name Esquivel.
And could you state your address, please?
6037 South Mozart Street.
And would I be correct that you'll be translating English to Spanish and Spanish to English?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And do you swear or affirm that you will correctly translate English to Spanish and Spanish to English?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, let me get Araceli Gomez sworn in. Can Araceli state their name and address?
Good morning. My name is Araceli Gomez, Araceli. My last name, Gomez. My address, 6037 South Mozart, Chicago, Illinois, 60629.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, you're here for a special use for a nail salon, is that correct?
Yes.
And do you have experience in nails?
She has more than 3 years of experience working in 2 different salons. One of them in the north side and one of them recently in Pilsen, in which she was working for more than 2 years.
Okay. And are you planning on hiring any employees?
¿Estás planeando en contratar empleados? Yes, she's planning on hiring three employees.
Okay. And what are the hours of operation you intend to have?
Las horas de operación que entiendes tener. She's planning on having Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturdays from 10 a.m. through 5 p.m.
And do you have like a cosmetology license or anything like that?
¿Tienes una licencia? She has her nail technician license, which she recently renewed on October of 2022.
And the employees that you hire, will they also have their nail tech license?
Que si tus empleados tendrán licencias de nail tech. She said, oh, yes.
All right, any questions from the board? Hearing none, we will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you know what? Before I let you go, I always do this. I need Nancy to read the department's recommendation. Nancy, go ahead.
Of course. The Department of Planning and Development recommends approval of the proposed nail salon. The department finds the proposal complies with all applicable standards of the zoning ordinance, is in the interest of public convenience, and will not have a significant adverse impact on the general welfare of the neighborhood. The department also finds the nail salon will be compatible with the character of the surrounding area in terms of building scale and design and operating characteristics. Lastly, the proposed nail salon is designed to promote pedestrian safety and comfort.
Nancy, I'm not going to pitch a perfect game this time, but one of these days I'm going to get it right. Okay. Thank you, everyone. We're going to take this matter under advisement. Next up is calendar number 459-22-S. This is 6554 Southwestern Avenue. If you are here in objection or support of this matter, please raise your hand and we will get you promoted. Okay, Antoinette Hightower, if you could unmute and then state your name and address, please. You're still muted, Miss Hightower.
Can you hear me? I'm sorry.
There we go. There we go.
Okay, so it's Antoinette Hightower, Hightower, 6554 Southwestern Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, 60636.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Nancy, could you please read the recommendation?
Absolutely. The Department of Planning and Development recommends approval of the proposed hair salon. The department finds that this proposal complies with all applicable standards of the zoning ordinance, is in the interest of public convenience, and will not have a significant adverse impact on the general welfare of the neighborhood. The department also finds the hair salon will be compatible with the character of the surrounding area in terms of building scale and design and operating characteristics. Lastly, the proposed hair salon is designed to promote pedestrian safety and comfort.
Thank you, Nancy. All right, Miss Hightower, what brings you here today?
Hi, so I am trying to get my special use. I run I'm getting to running a beauty bar. I would consider it a beauty bar. And basically, we will be focusing on natural hair braiding, hair weaves, and of course, great customer service. I will have about 6 to 8 employees. During prom season, we are trying to get, the less fortunate and start up something for them just so we can do them a full makeover for the less fortunate. So it'll just be free. And basically that's it.
And what are the hours you intend to hold?
8 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Now, I was just looking at if we go back to the photo right before, I think the door says 8 AM to 12 AM. Is that a?
Yeah. Yeah, so the guy who did that, he messed up. He said he was gonna come fix it. I'm like, no, not 12 AM. I'm not staying here to 12. Yeah, so the guy, I do have that in text message that he did someone else's, he got me mixed up with someone else.
Okay, so it's gonna be 8 AM to 7
Yes.
PM.
Yes,
And is that gonna be Tuesday through Saturday
yes,
and Sunday and Monday closed?
yes.
Okay, and do you have any experience in hair salons?
Yes, I have several years, about 5 to 8 years of experience in hair salon.
Okay. And are you licensed?
Yes, I am a license for that natural hair and braiding.
Okay. And the employees that you hire, will they be licensed as well?
Yes.
Any questions from the board?
No. Oh.
Hearing none, we will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up is 460-22-Z and 461-22-Z. This is 1628 West Warren. If you are here in objection or support of this matter, please raise your hand and we will get you promoted. And when we promote you, please accept the promotion. All right, I can see we've got Becky Keeler.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and board members.
Good morning. And then it looks like we have a Pierre Pierce. Pierre, are you here in support or objection of this matter?
Well, we're neighbors. This is his wife, Geraldine. We're both just kind of participating to understand what exactly the changes are being recommended and if it impacts those of us that also live on the same street.
Okay, okay, all right. Let me I'm gonna get you and the applicant sworn in, and then we'll have the applicant put on her case. Miss Keeler, if you could state your name and address, please.
Becky Keeler, Keeler, 1628 West Warren Boulevard, Chicago, Illinois.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
I do.
Thank you. And then I'm sorry, I forgot your name and all I see is Pierre Pierce, but if who's on the line, if you could state your name and address, please.
Geraldine Guichardo Pierce, and I'm at 1634 West Warren Boulevard.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
Yes.
Okay.
I
And then is there,
apologize. So sorry, Mr. Chairman, this is the court reporter. If she could spell her last name, I'm sorry.
yes, could you spell your last name, please? Geraldine? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, I lost connection there. My last name is Guichardo Pierce, Guichardo. Pierce is Pierce.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Keeler, what brings you here today?
Good morning. So we have two that we're doing. So the first one is to reduce the rear setback from the required 35 feet down to 3 feet. Then the west side setback from 2 feet, 2.5 feet to 0. And then have the combined side yard setback from 6.4 feet down to 0 for a proposed 2-story rear addition with a 10-foot raised deck and then stairs to connect the two.
Okay, is that a garage roof deck?
Yes, so the garage has been constructed there and we're looking for the variance then to be able to connect what you can see here at the lower portion up to this pergola area so that we can walk on that and then onto the top of the garage. The garage has just been finished with the roof on. We're still waiting for our permit or our inspection for our rough electrical work right now, but at least we have a place to park at this particular point in time. And then in addition to the home as well, that would have a storage room in the basement, a new rear entrance to the home, and then a 3rd floor bathroom added onto the home space as well.
Okay, and do you know what the hardship is here, why you need these variations?
So the variance, I understand as the stairs that are connecting our existing back deck onto the right now covered pergola area, that is part of it. Geraldine does have the stairs that I'm looking for that have stairs connecting their back deck onto their rooftop. And that is the same thing that every neighbor here has. So I'm just looking for accommodations to be able to do that same thing. Then also we have a large side yard. We have a 12-foot side yard that runs the property length. And so I'm looking to relocate our rear yard setback, our rear yard space onto the top of the pergola and be able to have that be a deck area, not just a covered space where we could have an outdoor kitchen. And then the addition to the home is on the west side of the property. Our home sits on the property line, and our neighbor to the west has written a letter of support that he does not have a problem with it. He does not have it. It's not going to affect his light or his air or sound. So he did write a letter of support in regards to being on the lot line that he and I share.
And have you had any conversations with the Pierce family?
I haven't. I know that the alderman support is that just adjacent neighbors, as long as adjacent neighbors don't have a problem with it. The neighbor that is going to be greatly affected or affected at all would be the neighbor directly next door, because it is their lot line that the addition of the home that you can see there in those photos would affect.
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, this is Commissioner McDonald. Ms. Keeler, I'm curious, did you evaluate any other options in terms of constructing stairs in a different location rather than doing this, what I understand to be kind of a bridge between your home and the garage roof deck?
The only other way would be is if we were able to put stairs along the side yard, which would take up side yard access. And you'd have to come down off the top of the garage and then all the way back down to the ground to come back up into the property. So going over it with so right there where you can see like the tomatoes growing, that's where the stairs would have to go. And so it would really impede the side yard that we do have right now, where we have a basketball area over there for the kids to play. Because there's not enough space between this pergola area and the stairs to walk if we were to do it to go run alongside the building.
And when you first started this project, what was the plan for accessing that pergola area on the roof deck?
I mean, it was always to access it that you would be able to walk out of the kitchen, which is the back of the house here, where you can see this the landing here, just up those 6 stairs, so that we wouldn't have to go all the way down to ground level.
Well, with that, is there a reason that you started building then before you got the variations?
For what has been built, we have a permit for that. We just don't have access to get on top of it, but we have a permit for the garage. We have a permit for the pergola. So all of that is permitted. We just don't. And so when we knew that we were going to have to get a variance, we broke apart and did 2 different applications for permit, knowing that we could get this done before winter, and then we'd come in for the variance later and hope and pray that we would get the access then on top of the roof. Another option would be doing a circular staircase there in the corner, so it wouldn't impede as much of our outdoor space at the ground level. Again, so that the kids could still have a basketball area.
This is Commissioner Esposito, but aren't there design changes being made to the what will become accessible surfaces if you make it accessible by a staircase? I mean, do you understand my question? What changes are you making to what's been permitted now that it's intended to be accessible?
Well, we could always just not have it be a rooftop that we use. I mean, we could just put solar panels on it, which would be another option that we.
But in terms of railings and surfaces, aren't you making different design decisions for it to be accessed and used than you would if it were simply roof?
Well, the railing would just go over this pergola area. The rooftop of the garage is built so that no one will, I mean, it's already high enough as it is.
So you don't have to make any changes to the permitted construction if you add a stair?
What the steel is here that the ladder is leaning against, that will have to have a steel framing around it, like what we have here on the landing, so that, yeah, you can't fall off of that, but so that we can sit up on there. But it has all been structurally built to be able to hold people up there.
Okay, and can you describe what kind of communication has taken place between you and your neighbors about this project?
Well, I mean, on either side or all neighbors?
Sure, well, on either side particularly.
So to the east there, where you can see his car, he's been very gracious in letting us use his property even to have construction parked there. We've redone some of his walkway there. We have had a great relationship with him during this building process. And then, of course, I have a letter of support that was written in from the neighbors to the west.
So they're both aware that you're intending to make this an accessible.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board for the applicant? Okay, if we could turn to Geraldine Gucciardo Pierce. Having heard the applicant's case, what she's proposing to do you have an objection to this matter?
No, having understood exactly what's going on, I think our major concern was building up and that blocking our view from our rooftop, but it doesn't seem like that's essentially what's happening here. So no objections on our behalf.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions from the board for anybody?
Did we have a DPD recommendation?
No, that's only for special uses.
Oh, okay, got it. I'm sorry. My
That's okay.
apologies.
Just to confirm, Becky, is my understanding correct that building up essentially is not necessarily happening, like beyond the rooftop and the space and the borders around it, our view will still be the same?
The height of the garage today is the height of the garage today, correct?
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, we will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful holiday season.
You too. Okay, next up is calendar number 462-22-S. This is 1590 North Clybourne.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and esteemed members of the board. I just wanted to let you know, Mr. Chairman, I think we have 7, 8, 9. There might be 9 available witnesses that should be promoted from the waiting room for this.
Okay. Yeah, if you are here in support or objection of this matter, please raise your hand and we will get you promoted. Again, this is 462-22-S, 1590 North Clybourne.
Thank you.
Yes.
And don't worry, I will not necessarily have to question all of those witnesses. I just wanted them available for all of you.
Sure, I'll start getting them sworn in.
Okay, I can give you a list.
I have it. I've got
Okay.
the list. Let's start with Adam Johnson. If you could unmute and then state your name and address, please.
Adam Johnson, 2801 Finley Road, Downers Grove, Illinois, 60515.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
I do.
Thank you. Let's go to Walid Abu Ghazaleh. Did I torture that? If I did, I'm sorry.
I already apologized in advance that I was going to do that, Chairman, so you're good.
Good morning.
Good morning. Could you state your name and address, please?
So my name is Walid Abu Ghazaleh. It's spelled ABU-GHAZALEH, and I live at 1499 North Clybourne in Chicago, Illinois.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
I do.
Thank you. Terrence O'Brien, could you state your name and address, please?
Yes, Terrence O'Brien, O''BRIEN, maintain offices at 145 Revere Drive, Northbrook, Illinois.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And the board recognizes your expertise.
Thank you.
Josh Weisbart, can you state your name and address, please?
Josh Weisbart, 1464 Avignon Court in Highland Park, Illinois, 60035. That's JOSHWEISBART.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
I do. Thank you.
Thank you. George Kissel, could you state your name and address, please?
Certainly. My name is George Kissel, last name spelled Kisiel. Offices at 141 West Jackson in Chicago.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
I do.
Thank you, and the board recognizes your expertise as well. Let's see here. Khadija Lawrence, could you state your name and address, please?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Khadija Lawrence, Khadija, Lawrence, Laurens. My address is 709 West Willow Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60614.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
I do.
Thank you. And just so you know, it's a little soft when you speak, so if you could either get closer to the microphone or speak louder, just so our court reporter makes sure that we get everything when you speak, okay?
Okay, I will do that.
Thank you. Michael Worthman, can you state your name and address, please?
Yes, Michael Worthman, Werthmann, offices at 9575 West Higgins Road, Rosemont, Illinois.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
I do.
Okay, and then we also got Xavier Lawrence. Can you state your name and address, please?
I am Xavier Lawrence, Laurens. My address is 709 West Willow Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60614.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
I do.
Okay, thank you. And then do we have a Dave Northey?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, can. Can you state your name and address, please?
David Northey, last name Northey, 117 North Monroe Street, Hinsdale, Illinois, 60521.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
I do.
Excellent, thank you. And let's see here, I'm going to read the Department of Planning and Development's recommendation. This is for calendar number 462-22-S. The Department of Planning and Development recommends approval of the proposed adult use cannabis dispensary, provided 1, special use is issued solely to the applicant, KXD Partners LLC. 2, all on-site customer queuing occurs within the building. 3, the development is consistent with the design and layout of the plans and documents dated December 15, 2022, prepared by Interform Architecture and Design. And 4, prior to issuance of any building permits, a code-compliant landscape plan is submitted to the Department of Planning and Development for review and approval. With that, again, if you are here in objection or support, please raise your hand and we will get you promoted. Oh, let's see here. Second. We do have someone, looks like we've got someone from the alderman's office.
Good morning. Brian Pellrine, Second Ward staff on behalf of Alderman Hopkins. Just wanted to state the alderman is neither in support nor opposed to this proposal.
Before you speak, can I just let me get you just sworn in for a second? Could you state
Absolutely,
your name?
sorry.
No, that's okay. Could you state your name and role, please?
Brian Pellrine.
In your role?
I am the Director of Zoning and Development for Alderman Hopkins.
Okay, and do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
Yes.
Okay, and go ahead.
Yes, so we had a community meeting about this, some discussions with a nearby neighborhood organization, Ranch Triangle. As far as we are aware, there are no major objectors in the neighborhood. So Alderman Hopkins is neither in support nor opposed to this proposal.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Councilor Barnes.
Thank you.
We do not have any objectors on this matter. You do have a lot of witnesses. You can proceed with the short form and then we'll open it up for board questions.
I love that idea, especially after enduring with you several the marathon cases that we've had the past couple months. So
I think the board is still catching up on their sleep from that last one.
I'm with you. Believe it or not, I stayed up through it all as well.
All right, Counselor, if you could answer all my questions, you know, in your testimony here, then I don't have to ask the questions either.
Commissioner, I have you so covered.
I know you do. I know you do.
My prep meeting with my clients and this team was solely for you.
That's what I've heard through the grapevine. Anyway, go on.
I've got you. Thank you. And before I begin to continue my dialogue, good morning once more, Mr. Chairman and esteemed commissioners. For the record, my name is Sarah Barnes, and I'm an attorney with the law offices of Sam Banks. I am super happy to be here this morning on behalf of the applicant, KXD Partners, LLC. As you already indicated, Mr. Chairman, there were some throughout this process. I want to extend our gratitude to Nancy Radzovich with the Department of Planning and Development for her incredible efforts in working with us, even in the 11th hour, to finalize the plans and ensure that we are in compliance with all of the current provisions of the zoning code, building code, landscape ordinance. One of the difficulties when dealing with existing conditions is bringing them into compliance with the current ordinance. So thank you, Ms. Radzovich. We have done that, and those are the plans that should be considered here today, which are dated December 15th, 2022, as indicated in the recommendation. As further procedural background, in and around July of 2019, after obtaining a perfect score on their application and participating in the qualifying applicant social equity lottery, the applicant was awarded one of 55 available conditional adult use dispensing organization licenses by the state of Illinois, which such conditional license allowed for the applicant to seek the special use necessary to operate an adult use cannabis dispensary within the city of Chicago. This course of events led the applicant to the subject property, which is situated at the south edge of the Six Corners intersection, uniting Clybourne Avenue, North Avenue, and Dayton Street in the heart of the Clybourne retail corridor. The subject site is improved with a one-story standalone commercial building and a paved accessory parking lot, which such building is presently occupied by the Vitamin Shop, which is another retail health store. That is scheduled, that tenant is actually scheduled to vacate the premises at the end of this year, so at the end of this month. The applicant, KXD Partners LLC, has executed a long-term lease with the current owner of the subject property, which such lease will allow for the applicant to occupy the entirety of the site and the corresponding improvements. Pursuant to that lease and this application for a special use, the applicant is proposing to establish an adult use cannabis dispensary at the subject site and within the existing building. As a matter of further relevant procedural benchmarks, KXD Partners filed the subject application for a special use on or about August 5th of this year, after many months of engagement with members of the local community, including the Ranch Triangle Neighbors Association and Alderman Hopkins, along with his staff. Subsequent thereto, and pursuant to the Chicago zoning ordinance, the applicant hosted an in-person community meeting on October 3rd of 2022. This meeting was held at Sully's House Bar and Grill, which is located less than 1 block south of the subject site within the 2nd Ward. A copy of all relevant notices of such meeting with corresponding attendance list and addresses was tendered to this board prior to the hearing as part of the applicant's findings of fact. We are happy to appear before you here today with written support from several property owners and business owners in the immediate area, as well as with the written support of the North Branch Works Neighborhood Association, and 2, with no objection from Alderman Hopkins. Copies of these letters of support were also tendered to this honorable board prior to today's hearing. We've already gone through the witnesses, but just to give you guys an idea of their role in this team, on behalf of the applicant KXD Partners LLC, we have the majority social equity member and chief executive officer, David Northey, as well as the other primary interest holder and their chief operations officer, Khadijah Lawrence. Also, on behalf of KXD Partners, we have another owner and their vice president, Josh Weisbart, who will be the general manager for the dispensary should the special use be granted. Beyond the applicant's ownership and operational team, we also have our security consultant, Adam Johnson, a founder and principal of P4 Security, our land planning consultant, George Kissel, our MAA designated appraiser, Terrence O'Brien, and our traffic consultant, Michael Worthman. We also have additional members of the ownership and operational team here to address any questions. With that, I will put on a couple of witnesses quickly to get to Commissioner Toya's questions, and then I can probably just go ahead and open it up for questions since most of the facts or all of the facts should be contained within our findings of fact and the supporting affidavits. So if it pleases you, Mr. Chairman, I'm ready to proceed with the first witness.
Yes, please do.
Thank you. Mr. Northey, can you please once more restate your name and address for the record?
David Northey, 117 North Monroe Street, Hinsdale, Illinois, 60521.
Thank you, Mr. Northey. And you are the Chief Executive Officer of the applicant KXD Partners LLC, is that correct?
Correct.
And as well, you are the applicant's majority social equity member, is that also true?
Yes.
Thereby holding 51% ownership in the applicant, is that correct?
Exactly, yes.
And you qualify as the social equity member pursuant to the state's cannabis legislation because one of your sons was a victim of the state's failed war on drugs. Is that true?
Yes.
And that injustice was actually one of many personal motivations behind your interest in becoming a part of this team. Is that correct?
Yes. I have a son who has struggled with anxiety and depression and use medicinal cannabis as something to help him with his struggle, and it's been very effective.
Thank you. So this is much more than a business venture for you. This is true to your heart and true to your family.
Yes, I really believe in this as a way to help people.
Thank you. Towards these ends then, Mr. Northey, it's your intent to remain a part of this ownership team should the special use be granted by this board here today. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
So that as the majority social equity member, you have no immediate intent to relinquish or to sell your interest in the applicant. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And you have no agreements to sell or transfer your interest. Is that true?
True.
Thank you. I have no further questions for Mr. Northey. Mr. Commissioner Toya, with regards to the guarantor, that's for the next witness. I do have that though.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any questions for Mr. Northey?
I think we'll keep going.
Okay.
You may have questions later.
Sure. Wonderful. Thank you. Then next I would like to please call Miss Lawrence, Khadijah Lawrence back on. Miss Lawrence, can you just once more state your name and address for the record?
Khadijah Lawrence, 709 West Willow Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60614.
Thank you. And you are the Chief Operations Officer of the applicant KXD Partners LLC, is that correct?
Correct.
And in that capacity, you currently hold a 40% interest in the applicant. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. And although not recognized as one of the qualifying minority classifications under the state social equity legislation, you were born and raised in Algeria. Is that true?
True.
And for the last 16 years, however, you have been residing in the Lincoln Park neighborhood with your husband, Xavier. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that's where you're also raising your own children. Is that right?
Correct.
In fact, you and your family reside within walking distance of the subject property. Is that correct?
Yes.
And similar to Mr. Northey, this proposal for you and your family, it's very close to your heart. It's more than a business venture. Is that right?
Yes.
And you were drawn to the industry similarly due to the health and wellness benefits that cannabis can provide.
Yes.
And it's the desire of the applicant buy-in through the business proposal and programming to become and remain one of the city's only completely independent and locally owned cannabis dispensaries. Is that correct?
Correct.
And one of the driving forces behind all of this is to service the residents of the immediate area with an emphasis on personalized customer service in a more intimate environment. Is that right?
Right.
Thank you. So again, this is a passion project for you, not just a business venture. Is that correct?
It is a passion, yes.
And one in which you're fully invested for the long haul. Is that correct?
Correct.
Accordingly, then as well, Ms. Lawrence, is it true that you have no immediate intent to relinquish or to sell your interest in the applicant?
Yes.
Thank you. And you have no agreements to transfer or to sell your interest. Is that correct?
No agreements.
Towards these same ends, Ms. Lawrence, is it true that KXD Partners LLC is identified as the lessee and or tenant on the executed lease for the subject premises?
Yes.
And within that lease, you as a 40% interest holder are identified as a co-guarantor on the lease. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you are a co-guarantor along with your husband, Xavier, who is the chief financial officer for the applicant. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. I have no further questions for Ms. Lawrence at this time.
Are there any questions from the board at this time? All right, let's keep going.
Wonderful, thank you. Mr. Weisbart, may you please go back on the record and state once more your name and address?
Happy to. Thanks for having me this morning. Josh Weisbart at 1464 North Avignon Court, Highland Park, Illinois, 60035.
Thank you. And as I indicated, you are the vice president and an interest holder of the applicant KXD Partners LLC. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And you were also duly appointed as the applicant's general manager to oversee and to be responsible for the day-to-day operations of the dispensary should the special use be granted. Is that correct?
This is correct.
And this is a role in which you have been acting in a position that you have held for the last 7+ years with other cannabis businesses in the city of Chicago. Is that right?
That is correct.
So that you actually transitioned your many years of prior experience owning and managing other retail businesses over to the cannabis industry in 2016. And that was when the state first legalized cannabis for medical use dispensing. Is that right?
This is absolutely correct.
Perfect. And then during such time, you took a position with and were trained by Green Thumb Industries as a manager at one of their local dispensaries. Is that correct as well?
That is correct. That is where I first started in the industry back in 2016.
Perfect. Desiring, however, GTI is a larger company desiring to be part of a smaller, more localized venture. You then took the same position with an independent dispensary, Green Gate Chicago, which operated in Rogers Park. Is that right?
That is correct. For 4.5 years, I was operating Greengate Chicago, which was originally a medical only dispensary, which then transitioned to dual use, both adult use and medical for the last 4.5 years. And immediately following that, I came on as a partner with KXD back in March this year in order to get this venture up and running. I'm very excited about it.
Perfect. And one of the reasons you decided to actually leave Greengate and take on this role with KXD Partners was because Greengate ended up also selling their license and their dispensary to one of the larger conglomerates. Is that right?
Correct. They were the last independent shop in Chicago, and they sold to Verano, one of the multi-state operators. And I'm very excited to be back on the independent front and open the best dispensary in Chicago.
Wonderful. And part of that desire to remain a part of these independent ventures is because you feel like as an independent localized team, you can provide better customer service in a more intimate atmosphere. Is that right?
Absolutely. It's going to be a hub for people to work from the cannabis industry, professionals that are looking forward to coming to Karma Club, customers that are looking for an experience like no other. We're really going to bring cannabis culture back to where it should be.
Thank you. And in your capacity as general manager, is it true that you will oversee the day-to-day operations of the proposed new dispensary? Again, should the special use be granted?
Yes, this will be my baby. I'll be there full time. We'll also have a full-time staff, and I can't wait to be there full time to execute and operating the most compliant, best dispensary in Illinois.
Thank you. I know it's been a year since we started this, so I know you anxiously want to get in there. In that capacity, then, Mr. Weisbart, you will be, again, actively enrolled in vetting and hiring the staff that will be employed by the applicant for this dispensary.
I'm super excited to do that. My career has been built on my network. I was born in Chicago, raised in the Chicagoland area, and I have a staff that's excited for this and ready to follow me over to Karma Club.
Thank you. And although I think you qualify as a superhero, you are still human. So there may be a day when you cannot be at the site. So you will actually also be hiring and training additional managers.
Of course, we will have a GM on site that's well-versed in the cannabis industry, specifically in Illinois, to work side by side with me, because of course I can't be there 7 days a week, but I will be there as much as possible.
Thank you. And you as well will be responsible for ensuring that the proposed new dispensary operates in full compliance with all rules and regulations governing the cannabis industry as codified and ordained by the state of Illinois, as well as the city of Chicago. Is that right?
Absolutely. It's one of my expertises, and I cannot wait to run the most compliant dispensary ever.
Thank you. With that, is it true that you have worked with other members of KXD's ownership and operational teams in conjunction with their security consultants toward the development of an operational plan that will be implemented for the new dispensary?
This is correct.
And that operational plan is consistent with and adopts many of the procedures that were implemented by your other successful dispensaries, as well as the procedures that were previously approved by this honorable board and by the state's IDFPR.
This is correct.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, in the interest of time, again, since you've had a few of these really long ones, I can have Mr. Weisbart talk through the operations in more detail, but they're all in the findings of fact.
Counselor, I was just going to say that the findings of fact are extensive on this one. So if you want to have them swear to their affidavits, and then we can open it up for board questions.
I think that's great. Mr. Weisbart, prior to these proceedings, you were provided with an affidavit that you executed, as well as the corresponding findings of fact. If you were to continue to testify here today, would the testimony you would be providing be consistent with the statements that were made in those documents?
Yes.
Thank you. I can put on the other witnesses briefly, but they've been sworn in, so I'll go to each of the experts quickly. Just
let's get
the
experts in and have them swear to their reports.
Yep. Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Hi, can you just real quickly once more restate your name and address for the record?
Yes. Adam Johnson, 2801 Finley Road, Downers Grove, Illinois, 60515.
Thank you. And you are the co-founder and a principal of P4 Security Solutions, which is a nationwide security consultation firm and security service provider. Is that right?
That is correct.
And you have extensive experience, not just in corporate and private security, but you also provide security for several of the cannabis dispensaries and other cannabis business organizations throughout the country, and in particular within the state of Illinois, and even more particularly within the city of Chicago. Is that right?
That is correct.
In fact, you have worked with 6 to 8 cannabis businesses here in the city of Chicago and around 25 throughout the state of Illinois. Is that right?
That is correct.
And your role with the applicant has been to assist in developing a security plan for the proposed dispensary. Is that true?
Yes.
And the security plan that you have developed with ownership, do you believe that that security plan meets all of the regulations and requirements for a cannabis business establishment as codified and ordained by the state of Illinois as well as by the city of Chicago?
That is correct.
Thank you. And I don't want to get into too many details about the security since this is a public hearing, and I don't want to compromise the health and safety of the applicant and as well as public welfare. So we would be happy to answer any more direct questions as it relates to the security plan. But with that, I will continue on to my next witness, and that will be Mr. Kissel, please. Mr. Kissel, may you please unmute yourself and restate your name and address for the record?
Sure. My name is George Kissel. I'm the president of Oakland Kissel Associates with offices at 141 West Jackson in Chicago.
Thank you. And Mr. Kissel, the chairman has already recognized you as an expert in this field. You were retained by the applicant in order to evaluate whether the requested special use to operate a cannabis dispensary at the subject site will comply with the standards and requirements for a special use as set forth in the zoning ordinance. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And did you have an opportunity to inspect the subject site and the surrounding area?
Yes, I did.
And the findings and evaluations that you were able to assess and evaluate, did you memorialize those into a report?
Yes, I did.
And that report has been tendered to the board prior to this hearing, is that correct?
That is correct.
Based on your evaluation of the subject site and the other uses in the immediate area, Mr. Kissel, is it your professional opinion that the programming for the proposed dispensary at this site satisfies all of the standards and requirements for a special use as set forth in the current zoning ordinance?
Yes, it does.
And do you believe that this use at this particular property is compatible with the other uses and operations in the immediate area?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Mr. Kissel, if you were to continue to testify here today, would your testimony be consistent with the statements that were made in your report?
Yes, it would.
Thank you. Mr. O'Brien.
Yes, ma'am.
Please restate your name and address for the record.
Yes, Terrence O'Brien, maintain offices at 145 Revere Drive in Northbrook, Illinois, professional real estate appraiser consultant.
Thank you. And once more, Mr. Chairman has already recognized you as an expert in this field. Similar to Mr. Kissel, you were retained in order to evaluate the subject property and the surrounding area and to assess whether the requested special use to operate a cannabis dispensary at the subject site is compliant with all of the standards and criteria for a special use as set forth under the current zoning ordinance. Mr. O'Brien, did you too have an opportunity to evaluate the subject site and the immediate area?
Yes, I inspected the subject site, the surrounding area back in August 13th. Then this past week, I've also re-inspected the property, the surrounding area on December 13th.
Thank you. And did anything you observed on your second assessment or evaluation of the immediate area, did that change any of the opinions that were set forth in your report?
No, they basically supported everything that I offered an opinion in my report.
Great. And a copy of that report was tendered to the board prior to this hearing. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And within that report and based on your multiple evaluations, is it your expert opinion that the proposed cannabis dispensary and the corresponding programming does in fact satisfy all of the standards and requirements for a special use and the additional requirements for a cannabis dispensary as set forth under the current zoning ordinance?
In my opinion, it does. In fact, I addressed those various criteria within my report.
Thank you so much, Mr. O'Brien. And towards that end, if you two were to continue to testify here today, would the testimony you would give be consistent with the statements and the findings that were made in your report?
Yes, they would.
Thank you so much. Last, but certainly not least, Mr. Worthman, if you may please state your name and address for the record once more.
Michael Worthman, Werthmann, a principal with the firm of Koenig, Lindgren, O'Hara, Abuna, Inc., or KLOA. Offices at 9575 West Higgins Road, Rosemont.
Thank you. And you're a professional engineer specializing in traffic transportation and parking evaluations and consultation. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And you two have appeared before this board many times in this same capacity. Is that right?
Correct.
The scope of your assignment in this case was to provide an assessment of the existing traffic conditions in the subject area, as well as the likely, if any, impact the proposed dispensary may have on those existing traffic conditions. Is that correct?
Correct.
And Mr. Worthman, did you have an opportunity to go out and to evaluate the site and the traffic conditions, the existing traffic conditions in the immediate area?
Yes, correct, which is summarized in our report that we submitted.
Thank you. And once more, that report was submitted to the board prior to this hearing. Is that correct?
Correct.
In your professional opinion, then, based on those findings, Mr. Worthman, will a retail cannabis dispensary at this subject property be supported by the existing traffic conditions in the immediate area, and it will not create an undue burden or an adverse effect on the existing traffic conditions? Is that correct?
Per the results of the study, it will not.
Thank you. Mr. Worthman, as well then, towards those ends, if you were to continue to testify here today, would your testimony be consistent with the findings and statements that were set forth in your traffic study?
Correct.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I have no further direct questions for my team. We are happy and available to answer any that you may have.
Any questions from the board?
No, this is Commissioner Toya. I just want to thank the counselor for answering the other questions that I would have asked. So thank you, Sarah.
Of course, anytime.
Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, we will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, we're just going to take a short recess to 10:40. So I move that we recess until 10:40. Commissioner Toya seconds. Commissioner McDonald.
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito.
Yes.
Commissioner Toya.
Yes.
I vote yes. We are in recess until 10:40.
Morning.
Okay, I move that we reconvene this meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Commissioner Toya seconds, Commissioner McDonald,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Toya.
Yes.
I vote yes, we are back. And we are calling calendar number 463-22-S. This is 6059 West Addison.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. Let me get your witnesses sworn in. If you're here in objection or support, please raise your hand and we will get you promoted. And just so everyone knows, for everyone on the call, after we do this matter, we are going to go, we have to take one out of turn. Next up is going to be 485-22-S. But first, we are going to do 463-22-S. Mr. Cruz, could you state your name and address, please?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. My first name's Juan, Juan. Last name Cruz, Cruz.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then Joe Ryan, could you state your name and address, please?
Yes, Chairman, Joseph M. Ryan, MAI President, LaSalle Appraisal Group with offices at 9455 South Horn Avenue in Chicago.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
I do.
Thank you. All right, allow me to read the recommendation of the Department of Planning and Development. This is the recommendation for calendar number 463-22-S. The Department of Planning and Development recommends approval of the proposed barbershop. Councilor Barnes, you have no objectors, so please proceed with the short form.
Thank you. Good morning once again, and for the last time this year, Mr. Chairman and esteemed commissioners. My name is Sarah Barnes, and I am an attorney with the law offices of Sam Banks, and I am super happy to be here on behalf of the applicant New Era Barber Lounge Company, which is owned and solely managed by Mr. Cruz. Mr. Cruz, I've told you, pray to goodness that you're not actually driving your vehicle, because we want you safe and sound. So, with that, Mr. Cruz has executed a long-term lease to occupy one of the 3 storefronts that is situated within the existing 2-story mixed-use building at the subject site. Pursuant to that lease and this special use application, Mr. Cruz is seeking to operate and manage a barbershop within that existing storefront. As a matter of relevant background, Mr. Cruz has over 6 years of experience managing barbershops. In fact, he's been working for the last several years for another barbershop in the same general neighborhood as a manager. Desiring, however, to own his own business, he has again executed this lease and is before this honorable board today seeking the special use. With that, I will put on Mr. Cruz really quick for some more relevant facts, and then Mr. Ryan, and we will move on for questions. So Mr. Cruz, if you may please go back on the record once more with your name and address.
Juan Cruz, Juan. Last name Cruz, Cruz. I live on 5942 West Newport Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, 60634.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, if you think that my last team was excited to be here today, Mr. Cruz has been anxiously awaiting this. So I'm super happy for this day to come for him. And that's because he's just really, Mr. Cruz, you've been wanting to own your own business for quite some time. Is that correct?
Ever since I was in high school, since I started learning about the beauty and barbering since I was 16 till now, it's been my dream. It's been my passion. And I wish to pass on my not just my dreams, but my knowledge of managing and open the doors for other young, exciting licensed barbers to start working in the field of barbering and for them to grow and to give out to the community as well.
Thank you. Towards those ends, Mr. Cruz, is it true that at this time you do not hold a license as a barber? Is that correct?
Correct.
So you will just be managing the new barber shop should the special use be granted. Is that correct?
Yes, my strong field is managing. So I've been in the customer service field for over 10 years, not just in a barbershop, but also in restaurants. So I know how to manage the places very well and know how to treat the people and give the customers the service that they need and provide with good licensed barbers. And I wish to just manage the shop as well.
Perfect. But you do have a little dream inside you too to complete the training that would be necessary
Yes.
in order for you to hold a license. Okay, but until that time, you intend to hire at least 3 licensed barbers to work at the new shop should the special use be granted. Is that correct?
Correct.
And with that, your hours of operation are, as they set forth here, going to be Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. and on Sundays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that's consistent with the other businesses in the neighborhood?
Correct.
Thank you. And you will be taking appointments, but as well, if permitted, and you have availability, you'll take a walk-in customer. Is that correct?
Yes, I will manage the walk-ins. I will push the walk-ins, the new customers towards the correct barber, whichever barber they need, depending on the style they want. And I just push the customers to the correct barber.
Thank you. And you will also make sure that your barbershop is operating in full compliance with all local and state regulations governing the industry, the barbershop industry, and that includes any continuing health regulations that may have resulted from COVID-19. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. With that, Mr. Cruz, prior to the special use proceedings and in your interest in the property, you actually reached out to several of the other business owners in the neighborhood, all of whom who have been very supportive of your new venture. Is that correct?
Correct.
And as well, we reached out to Alderman Villegas, who has issued a letter of support for you. Is that correct?
Correct.
And Mr. Chairman, a copy of that letter of support from Alderman Villegas has been tendered to the board prior to the hearing.
Yes, we have it.
Thank you. Mr. Cruz, if prior to the proceedings, you too were given a copy of an affidavit with corresponding findings of fact, if you were to continue to testify here today, would your testimony be consistent with the statements that were made in those documents?
Yes, it would.
Thank you so much. Mr. Ryan, if you can just quickly go back on the record with your name and address.
Joseph Ryan, MAI President, LaSalle Appraisal Group with offices at 9455 South Point Avenue in Chicago.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman has already recognized you as an expert in that field, and you've appeared before this board in that capacity on several occasions. Mr. Ryan, you were retained by the applicant in order to evaluate the subject property and the surrounding area and to make a determination as to whether or not a barber shop located at the subject site would be compatible with and in compliance with all of the standards and regulations for a special use as set forth under the current zoning ordinance. Did you have an opportunity to do those evaluations?
I did.
And any determinations that were based on the same, including the factual evaluations, you set forth all of that in a written report. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that written report was tendered to the board prior to this hearing. Is that also true, Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
And they're in that report, and based on your personal evaluation of the subject area and immediate neighborhood, excuse me, is it your expert opinion that a proposed barbershop at this location does in fact satisfy all of standards and requirements for a special use?
Yes.
And if you were to continue to testify here today, Mr. Ryan, would the testimony that you provide be consistent with the statements and findings that were made in your expert report?
It would, yes.
Thank you so much. Mr. Chairman, commissioners, we would be happy to answer any questions you may have, but I have no further direct questions.
Any questions from the board? We have what we need for this one. We will take it under advisement.
Thank you so much. Happy holidays, everyone. Stay safe, stay well. See you
Happy
next
holidays.
year.
See you next year.
Bye.
All right. Next up, we are taking a matter out of turn. We are going to call calendar number 485-22-S. This is 2301 to 05 West Lawrence, 4748 to 56 North Oakley.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chairman. My name is John George, and I'm an attorney with the Ackerman Law Firm, with offices at 71 South Wacker. I'm appearing on behalf of the applicant Botavi Wellness LLC in connection with the special use application for the property at 2301 to 05 West on Lawrence and 4748 to 56 North on Oakley. First of all, can you hear me, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, we can. And before you continue, let me just state that if you are here in support or objection of this matter, please raise your hand and we will get you promoted.
I don't know if the city has issued a recommendation in this matter, and I don't know if there are any objectors to this case.
They have issued a letter, and let me see. Are there any objectors on this case? Who's 1704-485? 17024. 17024-485. Are you here in support or objection of this matter? If you could unmute, please.
You should be seeing a prompt that says host is asking you to unmute. If you can please accept that and unmute.
There. All right, you're unmuted now. For the person that has the title, oh, now you just muted. 17024-485. We need you to unmute and tell us if you're here in support or objection. You're unmuted.
I'm part of the panel.
Oh, you're part of the panel?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. What's your name?
Stuart Johnson.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll just start swearing everyone in, and then I'll read the department's recommendation. And we'll start with you, Stuart. Could you state your name and address, please?
Stuart Johnson, 9922 East Thunderbolt Avenue in Mesa, Arizona.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
I do.
Thank you. Michael Wolin, could you state your name and address, please?
My name is Michael Wolin, W-O-L-I-N, 1910 First Street, Highland Park, Illinois.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
I do.
Thank you, and the board recognizes your expertise.
Thank you.
George Kissel has already been sworn in and his expertise has been recognized. Benny Leung, could you state your name and address, please?
Hi, Commissioner. This is Benny Leung, 3117 South Wallace Street, Chicago, Illinois.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
I do.
Thank you. Cody Henderson, can you state your name and address, please?
Cody Henderson, 12209 Big Bend Road, St. Louis, Missouri, 63122.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
I do.
Thank you. Mitchell Zabaduk, can you state your name and address, please?
Mitchell Zabaduk, 2844 Laurel Drive, Northbrook, Illinois.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
I do.
Thank you. Louis Abuna.
Good morning. My name is Louis Abuna. I'm a principal with KLOA. Address is 9575 West Higgins Road in Rosemont.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and then do we have Kenneth Boucher?
Yes, sir.
Can you state your name and address, please?
Kenneth Boucher from Jensen Hughes, 10 South Wacker Drive in Chicago.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you. All right, at this time, I'm going to read the department's recommendation. This is the recommendation for 485-22-S. The Department of Planning and Development recommends approval of the proposed adult use cannabis dispensary, provided 1, the special use is issued solely to the applicant, Botavi Wellness LLC. 2, all on-site customer queuing occurs within the building. And 3, the development is consistent with the design and layout of the floor plan dated December 14, 2022, prepared by FSA Architects and Elevations, dated December 14, 2022, prepared by Architectures SP. Councilor George, before you begin, one last thing. I just want to recognize Louis Abuna as for his expertise based on many past appearances here. And now you may proceed. You have no objectors, so you can go with the short form.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, and thank you for advancing my case under the circumstances. The people that you've identified, Mr. Benny Ling is the managing member of the applicant who will be testifying. Mitchell Zabaduk, who is the vice president of real estate for, who is a consultant with for the applicant in this case. Stuart Johnson, who all of these men have been sworn in, is the director of security for real estate for the cannabis consultant company. Michael Wolin, who's our MAI appraiser, has been sworn in. Cody Anderson, who's the architect from Lamar Johnson. Kenneth Boucher, who's the security consultant from Jensen Hughes. And George Kissel, who is a licensed architect and certified planner. And the last witness that you've sworn in is Mr. Louis Abuna from KLOA. The subject property is zoned C1-1 Neighborhood Commercial District and is currently improved with an existing commercial shopping center in accordance with the City of Chicago ordinances that regulate adult use cannabis dispensaries. The applicant is seeking a special use to operate a cannabis dispensary at this location at 2301 West on Lawrence. The applicant is a social equity applicant, partially Asian-owned, partially veteran-owned, which has engaged the Justice Cannabis Company as a consultant, who is an accomplished national cannabis company founded in Chicago, which owns and operates existing cannabis cultivation centers in Illinois and throughout the nation. The applicant held a community meeting on October the 27th at 6 p.m. at the Lutheran Memorial Church, located at 2500 West on Chicago Avenue, which is located within the same ward as the subject property. All required notices provided 2 weeks in advance of the community meeting. It was published, mailed, sent to the alderman, sent to the ZBA chairman. An applicant has submitted an affidavit with various exhibits demonstrating compliance with the ordinance for the notice of the community meeting. This matter was also heard a year ago, well, in March of last year, when we sought to have a special use, when we sought to rezone the property in order to permit us to go forward with this application. And at that time, we had community meetings. I had meetings with the Chamber of Commerce. I had meetings with the neighborhood associations. I had 3 meetings with the police districts in that community, in that ward. All of them supported this proposed project. The applicant in this case here will be complying with all laws and ordinances regulated by both the city of Chicago and state of Illinois for the operation of an adult use cannabis dispensary, including all safety and security regulations. Safety and security for the site will exceed the requirements of the city and the state and are foremost importance to the state, to the applicant in this matter. We have also submitted findings of fact for those individuals who are here today, together with supporting affidavits, as well as reports that were done by our experts in this area. We have submitted a real estate appraisal report from Mr. Wolin, along with his credentials, land use report that is submitted by Mr. Kissel, a recreational cannabis impact study which has been submitted by Mr. Mouche, and a traffic study which has been done by KLOA. All of those reports are submitted to the ZBA, and our witnesses are here to testify in support of those. In addition to the reports and studies, we've submitted photographs of the site. One of them is up here now, which is the site plan for the area where the cannabis will be sold. There's a survey of the subject property. We have floor and elevation plans, which you're looking at. And so with that in mind, I would go forward and do the abbreviated form and address the questions that may come up. One of the first witnesses that I would like to ask and call is Mr. Benny Lung. Mr. Lung, would you please state your full name and address?
Benny Leung, 3117 South Wallace Street.
Mr. Young, are you the applicant for a special use for an adult cannabis dispensary at 2301 West Van Lawrence?
Yes.
And what position do you hold with Otavi Wellness LLC?
Managing partner.
And have you been designated by the state as a social equity applicant?
Yes.
And are you of Asian descent and also a former member of the United States Army?
Yes.
And are you seeking a special use to operate an adult cannabis dispensary at this location?
Yes.
Did you do you have experience operating an adult use cannabis dispensary?
No, I do not.
And have you ever hired a consultant to help you advise you in the operation of the cannabis dispensary?
Say again?
And who that, and is Justice Cannabis the company that you have hired as a consultant?
Yes.
What services will Justice Cannabis be providing to you in the operation of this cannabis dispensary at 2301 West on Lawrence?
It would be assisting all matters required to open.
I apologize. I'm so sorry. This is the court reporter. I did not hear that answer.
I'm sorry, Mr. Lung, could you go back? I asked you, what services would Justice Cannabis be providing for you at this location? Can you give an answer to that?
They would be assisting on all matters required to open.
You know, you're coming in and out, Mr. Leung. So we're getting like every other word when you speak. We still need that answer for the record.
Mr. Young, can you please come closer to the microphone or whatever it is that you're using there so that the chairman and the members of the board and others can hear your responses to the question? Will you please do that?
They would be assisting on all matters required to opening our dispensary.
Will this also include the work as once the dispensary is opened, will they continue to work with you in the operation of this dispensary?
Yes,
Has Botavi Wellness signed a lease with the owner of this property?
yes,
And how long of a term of lease has Botavi Wellness signed a lease for this property?
10 years.
Do you have an agreement with anyone for, if this special use for a cannabis dispensary were to be granted, do you have an agreement with anybody to sell your interest in Botavi Wellness to them or to anyone else?
I do not.
And if the special use for a cannabis dispensary were to be granted for you at this location, do you have any intention to sell that interest?
I do not.
And do you intend to remain a member of this LLC if this special use is granted?
I do.
I'm sorry, what?
I do.
Okay, thank you. What are the operations of this facility? What will be the hours of operation?
So we'll be open 9 to 9 Monday through Saturday and 9 to 7 on Sundays.
And I can ask questions of the next witness, but are there security provisions in this facility with respect to armed guards being employed to be on premises at this site?
Yes, we will have 2 armed guards at the facility.
Will the dispensary be operated in accordance with the state of Illinois regulations of the state of Illinois, the statutes and the ordinance of the city of Chicago?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, if I would like to go on then to the next witness, Mr. Zabaduk.
Okay.
Please state your full name and address.
Mitchell Zabaduk, 2844 Floral Drive, Northbrook, Illinois.
And what is your business or occupation, Mr. Zabaduk?
The Vice President of Real Estate for Justice Cannabis Company.
The applicant in this case is seeking a special use to operate an adult cannabis dispensary at 2301 West Lawrence. What role, if any, will Justice Cannabis be taking in the operation of that cannabis dispensary?
We're serving as consultants to Botavi Wellness to assist them in matters of obtaining whatever necessary approvals and procedures are needed to help them set up and operate a cannabis dispensary successfully.
Will you have a continuing role as a consultant if this ZBA order was granted in a cannabis dispensary as permitted at this location? Will you have a continuing role in working with the plan of operation for this location?
Yes, we will continue to offer our consultancy.
How many employees will be located at this location?
22 employees, 18 of which will be full-time, 4 of which will be part-time.
And I should go back and ask you, what experience does Justice Cannabis have in operating cannabis dispensaries?
Justice Cannabis currently operates 15 cannabis dispensaries across 5 different states. In addition, Justice Cannabis has a full cultivation facility in Effingham, Illinois, Effingham County, actually, in Edgewood, Illinois. In addition, as well as a processing facility in California and cultivation in Pennsylvania and New Jersey.
But in this case here, you're acting as a consultant to the applicant here, Botavi Wellness LLC. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And in that role, you'll have a plan of operation. You've indicated that you'll be following and assisting the owner of the managing company of and operating this on a day-to-day basis. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And will you have any interest in the revenue that will be received by Justice Cannabis at this location?
None.
And how will you be paid for the work that you're doing?
Flat fee, flat consulting fee.
Going back to the operations, are you familiar with a system called Leaf Logic? And can you explain to the board exactly what that is?
Sure. Leaf Logics is a off-the-shelf product that's common in the cannabis industry. It's really the gold standard for inventory tracking in the cannabis industry, and that most of our peers in the business use. We use it across our entire platform with all our dispensaries nationwide. It is what they call seed to sale tracking, which tracks when cannabis is grown from its seed all the way to when it's sold to the consumer, and everywhere in between. The state requires this level of tracking, and Leaf Logics allows the cannabis company to scan the barcodes, receive products, and scan them as they're held in inventory and again as they're sold, to comply with all state regulations.
And is that the system that will be used here at this location?
Absolutely.
Looking at the diagram that is up on the screen, which is a layout of the facility, what type of barriers are there preventing the general public from gaining access to where the cannabis is housed?
So we have 3 levels of areas. One, the general public, which when you come into that waiting area, and then there's the sales area that you need to be escorted into, and then there's the fully secured area that are only allowed to enter by employees. What's preventing there is biometric security on the doors to prevent people from going into areas that they're not allowed to. In addition to security cameras, security guards, and the employees. Any further detail, I would defer to my colleague, Stuart Johnson, who is also available to answer any detailed questions about standard operating procedure for security. But in general, that's how it's maintained, to keep a separation between the general public and the secured areas.
Can you tell me where will the loading and unloading of the product take place? And I should say that at the request of the alderman in this matter, we've provided for a separate door at the front of the location where the product would be delivered. And so with that, can you please tell me where and how would the loading and unloading of the product take place when it comes to this location?
Absolutely. So if you look at the diagram that's on the screen, on the top right portion of the diagram, it says existing main entry. That is the main entry for the store. And I'll take this opportunity to just note that Nancy Radovich's requirement that the waiting area be outside of the queuing area. You could see we had a very expanded waiting area in this dispensary as a special request from the alderman, so we can have up to 24 chairs there. And the deliveries are coming. If you look just to the left of that, it says new product delivery entrance. So the also at the request of the alderman, no deliveries will be done on Oakley, which is at the bottom of the page. That's where it says, if you look at the bottom of the page, it says existing employee entrance. Was what it when it was a yoga studio, but that door will only be used for emergency exit at this point, going forward for our use. So going back to the top of the page, all of our deliveries will come in where it says new product delivery. Only security or delivery will be entering into that door. Our security will be standing there in between those 2 doors to guide, to make sure that security and deliveries go to the left and employees and customers go to the right, to the 2 separate doors. So the deliveries will be taken right there in that door.
When the deliveries are brought, well, first of all, what type of vehicle brings the product to the store? Is it a truck or a van?
It is always just a van. We don't really get deliveries of anything by truck. So it's a van that delivers it. It's a van that comes with typically with 2 security guards in the van, meeting our security guards. The van parks in one of the parking spaces right there. They unload maybe 2 bins on a push wheel cart, and are escorted in. The whole process takes maybe 15 minutes, and they're in and they're out. And that's how the deliveries get escorted in, and one person waits in the van while the other guard is escorted by one of our guards to take the product in, and then the van drivers can carry on.
And then that product, once it comes in, it's put into the area of the building or the area of this location in a secure place that's unavailable and not to be able to be seen by the public. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It's not even seen by most of the employees. The area in the middle there is called the vault. And so it would be taken directly into the vault, and only the manager and vault employees are allowed in there. And that's where the product is stored.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, I have a whole series of witnesses who've done reports on this, and if it's okay with you or if it's acceptable to you, I'll just call each witness, and then have them give a summary of what the report shows, and then have them testify that if their testimony were to be had today, it would be consistent with the affidavit that they previously had given in this matter, as well as the findings of the reports that have been furnished and accepted by the Zoning Board of Appeals.
So Counselor, we do have all of the reports. We have reviewed all of the reports. If you have anything in addition to the reports that you want your witnesses to say, then you should have them testify to it. But otherwise, they can just swear to their reports.
That's fine. Then I'd ask Mr. Michael Wolin. Mr. Wolin, would you please state your full name and address?
My name is Mike Wolin, 1910 First Street, Highland Park, Illinois.
Mr. Wolin, you were previously been sworn in this matter, so I would ask you, in preparation for this, you're familiar with the subject site, is that correct?
Yes, I am. Several locations I have.
And you're an MAI real estate appraiser, which has been recognized the board. And did you do a report and an analysis and determination as to diminution of surrounding properties caused by this proposed special use?
I did do such a report, and I do comply and apply with that report.
And is your conclusion that in that report that this proposed use at this location would not cause a diminution in property values of any of the surrounding properties?
That is my belief. Yes.
And that's a 50-page report that you did, and which was submitted and now has been reviewed by the ZBA. Mr. Wolin, you executed an affidavit in this matter, and I would ask you, if you were called upon to give full testimony here today, would your testimony be consistent with the affidavit that you previously had submitted to the Zoning Board of Appeals?
Yes, it would be.
I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman, of Mr. Wolin. Mr. Kenneth Boucher, would you please state your full name and address?
Yes, Kenneth Boucher. It's 10 South Wacker Drive in Chicago.
Mr. Boucher, you have been previously sworn in this matter, so I would ask you the following questions. Have you been retained by Botavi Wellness to do an analysis concerning security measures being taken at this location?
Yes, sir, I have.
And Mr. Boucher, have you did studies and you in connection with the impact of recreational and medical use cannabis dispensary on public safety, is that correct?
Yes, I have.
And can you please give a short conclusion as to what your report shows?
Yes, sir. What the report shows with empirical data that the cannabis dispensaries will not impact crime in the neighborhood, not violent crime, property crime, or even nuisance crime, and that it really contributes to a reduction in crime and quality of life issues, or an increase in quality of life issues in neighborhoods. It goes through a litany of concerns that have been brought up by the community meetings that we have seen in the city of Chicago and around the state, and addresses those issues with studies and empirical data to show factually that the location of a cannabis dispensary in a neighborhood really only serves to improve things from crime to property values to quality of life.
Mr. Boucher, you've executed an affidavit and submitted a report in this matter. If I were to ask, if you were to go through all of your testimony today, would your testimony be the same as what was contained in your report, which has been received by the ZBA in connection with this matter?
Yes, it would.
Okay, I have no, no further questions of you. I would now call Mr. Louis Abuna. Mr. Abuna, would you please state your full name and address?
Morning, name is Louis Abuna, 9575 West Higgins Road, principal with KLOA.
Mr. Abuna, you've been already sworn in this matter, so I just have a couple of questions for you. Have you been retained by Otavi Wellness to do a traffic analysis for the property at 2301 West Lawrence?
Yes,
And did you review the subject site and making a report in this matter?
yes, I have.
Have you determined based on the information received from the operator as to the amount of time a customer normally would spend at this location?
Yes, I have. And, they're given the availability of online orders, anticipated that the customers will spend a minimal amount of time, 4 to 5 minutes at the store.
Okay. And you have done a report, as you indicated earlier, which is a lengthy report, which has now been received into evidence at this hearing. If you were called upon to testify today, would your testimony be the same as what's submitted in that report and in your affidavit?
Yes.
I have no further questions of Mr. Abuna. Mr. Cody Henderson, would you please state your full name and address?
Cody Henderson, 12209 Big Bend Road, St. Louis, Missouri, 63122.
Mr. Henderson, you've already been sworn in this matter. I just have a few questions to ask you. Have you been retained by Botavi Wellness to design the proposed adult use cannabis dispensary for the property at 2301 West End Lawrence Avenue?
I have.
And is what is part of your design and the layout up there on the screen, is that something that you were involved in?
Yes, I was the direct designer on that project.
And does this, there was an earlier statement made by Nancy Resnovich from the City Department of Planning indicating about having enough space for people so that they didn't have to stand outside. Is there sufficient queuing room or waiting room in this new design to accommodate people waiting to go in to purchase the product?
That is correct. We increased the waiting up to 24 seats.
And have you designed this building so that it complies with all applicable standards of the zoning ordinance and also the rules and regulations of the State of Illinois Cannabis Act?
I have.
If you submitted a report here and also your designs. If you were to call to testify to go through your entire report, would your testimony that you would be giving be the same as what's contained in those reports and affidavit?
It would.
The next question, the next witness I have is Mr. George Kissel. Mr. Kissel, would you please state your full name and address?
Sure. My name is George Kissel, president of Oakrant Kissel Associates, offices 141 West Jackson.
Mr. Kissel, you've already been recognized by the board as an expert in your area, and you've already been sworn in, so I just have a few questions. What is your business or occupation?
I'm both a licensed architect and a certified planner.
Okay. And were you contacted and retained by Botavi Wellness to do a report and evaluation for the special use application for the subject property at 2301 West Lawrence Avenue?
Yes, I was.
And is that document called a supplemental land use analysis?
That's one of the documents, yes.
I know it's a lengthy document, so I'm not going to go into various pages in that document. But if you were called upon to testify today and I asked you a series of questions, would your answers be consistent with the affidavit and the report that you have submitted in this case?
Yes, they would.
And I believe that's all my witnesses, Mr. Chairman. Oh, no, Stuart Johnson. Mr. Johnson, would you please state your full name and address?
Stuart Johnson, 9922 East Thunderbolt Avenue, Mesa, Arizona.
Mr. Johnson, you've already been sworn in this matter, so I just have a few questions for you. Are you the Director of Security for Real Estate for the cannabis company that's the consultant to the applicant?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And did you do a report and an analysis of the security for this property?
Yes, I did.
Can you please explain the number of security guards on premises at all times and whether they're armed or not armed?
It'll be anywhere from 2 to 3 armed guards at all times during the business of being open. So, yeah.
Are there cameras inside of this facility in order to give additional security?
Yes, there are. There'll be anywhere from 30 to 50 cameras, depending on the placement.
Will those cameras be connected up with the City of Chicago Police Department?
Yes, they'll have yes, sir. They'll have a live feed to the police department at all times.
And did we meet with, you and I meet with members of the Chicago Police Department regarding the same issue last March?
Yes, we did.
And did they support the way the cameras are mounted and being viewed as being located at the site?
Yes, sir. They did.
You have already testified and given a report, and I would just ask if I were to call you and go through that entire report and ask you questions, would your testimony be the same as what's in that report and what's in your affidavit?
Yes, it would be.
Mr. Chairman, I have no other witnesses, and I'll stand ready to answer any of the questions that you, Mr. Chairman, or any members of the commission might have.
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Toya. I just got a couple questions. You kind of answered it, but I just want to go back. So to the applicant, you are on the lease, right? Are you the only one on the lease?
Otavio LLC is on.
Okay, and you're part of that, right? Very good. And then what is your day-to-day operation? What would it, will you have a day-to-day operation in the facility? Will you be there day-to-day or not?
I will be out when they first start out. I would come there mostly every day.
You will be. All right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
This
other
is Commissioner
questions?
Sorry. Go ahead, Sam. Sorry.
No, I said that those are all the questions I have. Thank you.
All right. This is Commissioner Esposito. Can you just remind us once more, what is the Alderman's office disposition on this?
I had asked the other day if they gave us a letter of support when we were before the zoning committee, when we were rezoning it so that it could be used as a cannabis dispensary. I had asked them to send me another letter. I haven't received it yet. Maybe it came in. I don't know, but I know that they are in support of it, Mr. Esposito.
Thank you.
Any other
I
questions?
just had,
Go ahead.
yeah, Commissioner McDonald, I just had one more question. I wanted to confirm I had heard correctly. The community meeting that was held, was that held at the Luther Memorial Church located at 2500 West Wilson Avenue?
It was, and we gave proper notice. Josh, I don't know if he's the chair, I don't know if he's the chief of staff for the alderman. He was there. We gave notice, a significant notice as requested by the alderman. We then submitted a copy of the people who were in attendance to that meeting to the ZBA, as well as the notice that we published in the paper of general circulation, the Sun-Times, and all other relevant documents with respect to that hearing in that meeting. I was there, and Benny was there, and I think about 5 or 6 people showed up, asked some questions. None of them really had much of objections. One lady wanted to know about the notice because she was concerned that it was published in a matter of the paper of general circulation, and I assured her that the Sun-Times was, and that was about it. But any other questions about that meeting, Commissioner, I'll be glad to answer.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Hearing none, we will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
I'd like to just say thanks again for accommodating my situation. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.
Okay, we are going back on regular schedule. And next up is 464-22-Z. This is 3409 North Bosworth. If you're here in support or objection for this matter, please raise your hand and we will get you promoted. Okay, Nader, could you state your name and address, please?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Can you state your name and address, please?
Nader Hendo, 3409 North Bosworth Avenue. I'm the managing partner of 3409 Bosworth LLC.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. James Young, can you state your name and address, please?
My name is James Young with Booth Hanson Architects at 333 South Des Plaines Street in Chicago.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
I do.
All right, thank you. Councilor Barton, you have no objectors, so you can proceed with the short form and then we'll open it up for board questions.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, commission members. For the record, I'm Timothy Barton with the Office of Thomas R. Raines LLC. I'm here representing 3409 Bosworth LLC, which is the applicant in the matter of the variation at 3409 North Bosworth Avenue. The applicant here is proposing to build a 4-story, 6-unit building on the vacant lot located at 3409 North Bosworth. The lot measures 123.79 feet by 50 feet and is comprised of 2 formerly separate parcels, which have recently, which were previously improved with 2-unit residences. The subject property is immediately adjacent to the CTA Brown Line L tracks, which you can see in all 4 of these photographs. To the south is a former church building that's to the right-hand side in virtually all these photographs. It's a large 2-story building, older building, probably 80 to 100 years old. It fills virtually the entire lot has a 6-foot rear setback and approximately 1 foot 6 inch side yard setback. In 2020, the applicant filed for, was granted a type 1 zoning amendment to change the property zoning from RT 3.5 residential 2-flat townhouse in multi-use district to an RM 4.5 residential multi-unit district. The type 1 ordinance stated that the applicant would apply for an 8.75 reduction of the rear yard setback from the required 37.5 feet to 28.75 feet. The applicant is now seeking that setback reduction. The the relief again was sought, that is being sought here, was contemplated and presented to the Committee on Zoning in the plans that were approved with the type 1 zoning amendment. And let me call Nader Hindo as our first witness. Thank you very much, Chairman, for signing, for swearing Nader in. Nader, again, just for the record, you're the manager of the 3409 Bosworth LLC, which is the applicant today.
Yes,
And the property, the description I just gave, was that an accurate statement?
yes.
Can you please describe the improvements on the subject property and their condition when you bought the property?
So they were two separate parcels. Each one had 100-plus-year-old frame houses, which had been converted to 2 units in each building. I.e. like separate meters and everything. 4 units in total. In both cases, they were owner occupied in 1 unit and renting out the other.
Okay, thanks. And again, for the record, as I've indicated, the subject property is immediately adjacent to the Brown Line, CTA Brown Line L tracks to the north.
Yes,
And the Brown Line service runs continuously, does it not?
yes, 24/7 at intervals of 5 to 12 minutes. Depending on the time of day, practically speaking, the tracks make the use of a subject property outside area unoccupiable much of the time.
The adjacency to the L is an unusual circumstance and challenging factor in redeveloping the subject property.
Yes,
And why did you buy this property?
we saw a need in the market and we decided to merge the parcels and develop it with a masonry type building to mitigate the L noise.
And given the noise generated by the L, what was your plan from the outset with to redevelop it?
I mean, for the property and the development to be feasible, it required a construction of a 6-unit building and rezoning the property to meet the minimum lot area per unit minimum in the zoning code.
Met with Alderman Tunney and discussed this, the plans and the rezoning. And the plans were posted on the alderman's, on the ward's zoning website. Is that true?
Yes, we actually we received very welcoming and support from the aldermen, from the community meetings, and all the support from the neighborhood.
Ultimately, Alderman Tunney supported the rezoning,
Yes,
and we're here today to ask for the variations that was specified in that ordinance.
yes.
And it's the reason for this variation to diminish the hardship of this, the L noise.
Yes,
It's accurate to say that you propose to reduce the outdoor space, which under these circumstances has less significance to the future residents, and that you're proposing to add an additional 1,120 feet to the building to provide larger units.
correct. Yes,
And just so we understand, your thinking is that this will encourage people to rent at this location despite the drawback of its proximity to the L.
yes. I mean, a reduced rear yard would allow the creation of a slightly larger interior units that would make up for the intrusive impact of the exterior elements. An elongated building and a smaller rear yard would help reduce the impact of the L noise, as well as diminish light and air to the rear yard from the adjacent, neighboring buildings. A shorter building would provide less shielding from the adjacent developments.
And Nader, you've built a number of residential units throughout Chicago, and based on your experience, what's a typical return on the investment?
On average, our previous projects are around, 3 to 5% after debt service.
And what do you anticipate for this project?
With this one and with the delays that we've endured and with the rise of interest rate, we are talking a much more modest return, which would probably be under 3%. In order to minimize the economic effect of the L noise, we are proposing to build a slightly larger than average footprint to provide larger units. This would be rented at a less than market rate to encourage rentals for this particular site. To redesign the whole building to comply with the setback would mean less rentable square footage and impact their marketability because of the major noise, and then all factors that reduce income. Both options are costly, so we may just slice it as a project to perform lower than existing properties we own, because we're already in the works of it. So
let me ask also, just so we're clear, your property is also adjacent to a large multi-unit building to the south of you, which is the corner property at Roscoe and Bosworth. And it has a former large church building on it, which fills virtually the entire parcel except for 6 feet at the rear and 1'6" at the side and nearest you.
yes, I mean, that adjacent property of the former church fills much of its lot, and it has approximately probably less than 6 foot setback at the rear property line and approximately the same dimensions of the side yard next to ours. Because of this, that massiveness of the neighboring building casts a shadow on the rear yard.
And you feel that this will detract from the enjoyment of the property for the tenants?
Absolutely, yes.
And the combination of this church, of this apartment building and the CTA L tracks will significantly diminish the enjoyment of the property.
Yes.
Thank you, Nader. We prepared an affidavit for you, which you read and signed, which we submitted to the board, correct?
Yes.
And let me ask you, if you were to continue to testify now, would your testimony be consistent with what was in that affidavit?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you, Nader. Let me just quickly
Actually, I'm going to jump in here. I want to ask a question.
Okay.
Of Mr. Hindo. I think I'm understanding the hardship, but I want to make it clear because you're not asking for any relief on the north side setback. True?
Correct.
That would be the setback that would be closest to the L, correct?
Correct. No.
Okay.
We're not.
But you need relief in the rear, and are you saying that you need that relief so that you can make bigger units to make the property marketable because it's close to the L? In other words, if there were smaller units, people might say, and it's next to the L and it's too loud and I don't want to live there. Is that the hardship?
100%.
Okay. Okay, I understand it. All right, any other questions from the board for Mr. Hindo before we go to Mr. Young? Okay, go ahead, proceed, Counselor.
James, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. James, you're the project architect.
That's correct.
And did you prepare the plans that were submitted both in 2020 for the zoning amendment, the rezoning ordinance, as well as the plans that are being filed for the construction of this property with this variation?
Yes.
Now, you're familiar with the site, I take it?
Yep. Yes, I am.
And based on other properties you've worked on, do you think that the immediate surroundings have a particular diminishment or have a particularly negative effect on the subject property?
I do. I would echo the words that Nader shared with you. The extension of the building to the rear by an additional 8 feet will allow us to provide more substantially sized units for the families that will inhabit these units and give them a little bit better access to light as we move further east.
And are there other measures that were taken to lessen the impact of the noise noise from the L?
Yes, not seen in this image here, but around the corner facing our tracks, we've created sort of a additional setback to give us a little bit more room for light and air from the tracks, provided an outdoor porch and exterior entry stair for all of our units. And we've positioned our living spaces looking towards the tracks with a minimal amount of windows facing the CTA tracks. Our hope there is to bring light and air in from the east and the west, from the street and the alley, and shield our bedrooms that are facing south from a little bit more noise of the tracks.
Variation were granted, would it affect, do you have feelings on whether this would affect the properties, the adjacent properties to the north and south?
No, I don't believe they would adversely affect either.
And further, do you think that this has any effect on the remainder of the block? That is to the properties to the north?
Nope, any shadows we might be casting with our building would be cast across the edge of the CTA tracks. And we're pretty significantly distanced from our next adjacent property on the other side of the tracks.
Be clear, there are 2 properties south of the tracks, and then the tracks essentially form a kind of barrier for the properties to the north.
Correct.
James, based on your professional work, will this building conform with all building and zoning code standards?
Yes, it will.
Let me ask you regarding the affidavit that we prepared for you. We did prepare that and it was submitted to the board. If you were to continue in testifying today, would your answers be substantially the same as what was the facts in that affidavit?
Yes.
That concludes the witness's testimony. I just have a brief update as far as our contact with the immediate neighbors. We did contact the CTA and had exchanged information back and forth with them. And as a result of that, when understanding the scope of the project, they didn't have any objection. As for the building to the south, that's a rental property. It's owned by a bank trust. And we were not able to contact the beneficiary of that trust. As you know, banks trusts don't have to submit that information. However, the trust was notified as part of our notice process when the application was applied for. This concludes our presentation, Mr. Chairman. If you have any other questions, you or the commission, please, we'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions from the board? All right, we have what we need. We will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up is calendar number 465-22-S, 466-22-Z, and 467-22-Z, although I have a note on that last one that it may be withdrawn, but we'll confirm when we get everybody up. If you are here in support or objection of this matter, please raise your hand and we will get you promoted. Good morning, Counselor Butler. How are you?
I'm okay, Mr. Chairman. How are you?
Sorry, I had to ask a question right while you're taking a sip. First question for you actually is 467-22-Z, is that being withdrawn?
Yes, housekeeping matter to get started is 467 will be withdrawn. After we filed the application, it was determined that the project as designed meets the standards of the ordinance for transparency.
Okay. All right, so we are just hearing 465-22-S and 466-22-Z. 467-22-Z is withdrawn. And then your witnesses, I've got Brad Gold, Ramiel Kanoon, and George Kissel. Is that correct?
That's right.
I can see there's a Kevin Price who is raising his hand. Let me see. Kevin Price, could you unmute and let us know if you are in support or objection of this matter?
No, sorry, I'm with the 467-22Z.
467-22-Z was with. Oh, you're part of it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So is he part of your case, Counselor?
No. It looks like he's labeled as 475.
Yeah, I have two numbers. One of them is 475, the other is 467. Looks like I'm 475.
Okay, so your matter is not up yet, and
Okay.
467 was withdrawn.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Okay, Brad Gold, could you state your name and address, please?
Yes, Brad Gold, 132 East Delaware Place, Unit 6102, Chicago, Illinois, 60611.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
I do.
Thank you. Ramiel, could you state your name and address, please?
Ramiel Kanoun, 2149 North Tallman Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, 60647.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
I do.
Thank you. And then George Kissel has already been sworn in and his expertise has been recognized. Let me read the department's recommendation. This is the recommendation for calendar number 465-22-S. The Department of Planning and Development recommends approval to establish residential use below the second floor for a proposed 4-story, 7-dwelling unit mixed-use building located on a pedestrian street, provided the development is consistent with the design and layout of the plans and documents dated December 15, 2022, prepared by Space Architects and Planners. Okay, Councilor Butler, you may proceed. You have no objectors, so you can go with the short form, and then we'll open it up for board questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Liz Butler. I'm a partner with the law firm of Taft, Stettinius and Hollis LLP, located at 111 East Wacker Drive in Chicago. I have lost my voice today, and so I hope that you'll be patient with me, and I'll rely on some of my witnesses to help answer questions as they come up. We represent the applicant in this matter, Lyon Halstead 3 LLC, and I'm joined today by Brad Gold, who is the manager of the applicant and the owner of the subject property. Ramil Kennoun is the principal of Space Architects and Planners, the project architect, and George Kissel, who you've recognized as an expert, is our expert land planner that's with us today. The applicant is seeking approval of a variation to reduce the required rear yard setback for floors with dwelling units from 30 feet to 22 feet. A special use to authorize residential below the second floor in order to redevelop this subject property with a new 4-story mixed-use building. The building will have commercial uses on the ground floor and a total of 7 residential dwelling units, including a single accessible dwelling unit on the ground floor with 6 dwelling units above. As we mentioned, the calendar 467 was withdrawn for the reasons that we provided earlier. The property is located at 3322 North Halstead. It contains approximately 3,125 square feet of site area. It's bounded by existing buildings on the north and the south, a 3-story building on the north, and a single-story commercial building on the south. There's a 16-foot wide public alley on the west, and the property is currently vacant and unimproved. In connection with this development proposal, the applicant sought and the city council approved a type 1 zoning map amendment that was approved earlier this year that rezoned the property from the C12 neighborhood commercial district to the C13 neighborhood commercial district. The applicant is now seeking approval of the variation and the special use, as I mentioned. C13 district allows dwelling units on the ground floor only when approved as a special use. We are proposing to locate a single accessible residential dwelling unit on the ground floor to achieve the city's accessibility requirements for new construction for mixed-use buildings. The surrounding area is characterized by a mix of residential and commercial uses, including other buildings that contain ground floor accessible dwelling units. So there's no anticipation that this request would have any adverse impact on the welfare of the neighborhood, and it generally conforms to the character of the surrounding area. The C13 district requires a 30-foot rear setback for floors with dwelling units. And because there is a dwelling unit on the ground floor, all floors contain dwelling units. As we indicated in the affidavits that were filed with the proposed findings of fact, the applicant's pro forma for the project indicates that without the requested relief, the project only achieves an ROI of about 4.25%. Whereas with the requested relief, it achieves an ROI of approximately 9.87%. So without the requested relief, the project obviously couldn't be built as proposed. And a project that meets these rear setback requirements likely would not be financeable, and the redevelopment of the site would not proceed. Strict conformance with the rear setback standards of the zoning ordinance would require unit count or sizes that would be substantially reduced. Prices of rents would be too low to justify proceeding with the proposed development. This form of relief actually could have been processed as an administrative adjustment. The zoning ordinance allows reductions of 50% or less to be approved administratively. However, because we are seeking special use approval, this is being processed as a as a variation. The development team worked very closely with the Alderman's office. We presented the project to the Triangle neighbors who voted unanimously to support the project. We then held numerous meetings with the immediate neighbors to discuss the development and made numerous modifications to the design of the project to address neighbor concerns. So the design that's before you today is the result of that community engagement process, as well as review by DPD staff. Except with respect to the matters before you today, the project otherwise complies with all applicable standards of the zoning ordinance. And with that, I can turn to our witnesses, unless there are any questions.
Let's proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Gold, could you please again state your name and address for the record? Are you frozen, Brad?
It looks like he froze.
Okay, I'll go to the next witness and then maybe Brad will unfreeze.
Okay.
Ramil, could you please state your name, title, and business address for the record?
Sure. Ramil Kanoun, Principal with Space Architects and Planners, 2149 North Tallman Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, 60647.
Thank you. And Space is the project architect for this matter, correct?
That's correct.
And you're a licensed architect in the state of Illinois, right?
That is correct.
And Taft, as counsel for the applicant, submitted your CV, the proposed findings of fact, and an affidavit that set forth your testimony that was signed by you in connection with this matter, correct?
That's correct.
And if you were to continue to testify today, would your testimony be consistent with those findings of fact and affidavit?
That is correct.
Thank you. Brad, are you online?
We've got Brad back. Brad, I might suggest that you turn your camera off. It may make the connection better, but we cannot hear you right now.
I was supposed to. Oh. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sorry about that. I was supposed to be in a different city, but I'm staying at airport and a 4.5-hour flight delay.
Brad, for the record, could you please state your name and your business address again? Well,
Looks like we lost him again.
why don't we go to George and then maybe we can try to have Brad dial in instead. Mr. Kissel, can you please state your name, title, and business address for the record?
Sure. My name is George Kissel. I'm the president of Okra and Kissel Associates with offices at 141 West Jackson in Chicago. I'm a licensed architect and certified planner with over 40 years of experience in the field of planning and zoning.
And thank you, George. And you were retained by the applicant to conduct an urban planning analysis of the proposed special use and the variation to allow for the construction of a 4-story, 7-dwelling unit residential building with residential uses on the ground floor in the C13 neighborhood commercial district, right?
That is correct.
And your report details your analysis, findings, and conclusions, and that report was contained in the findings of fact that were submitted to the board in advance of this hearing. Is that right?
That's correct.
And George, if you were to continue to testify, would your testimony be consistent with the findings and conclusions that were in your report?
Yes, it would.
Thank you. Brad, were you able to get back on? Okay. Well, Brad Gold
I can see him, but we can't hear him. We should have him dial in. The number for that is 312-626-6799.
Okay, he's saying that he has dialed in.
Oh, okay, let's see.
is
Does he have a 702?
702.
Yeah, all right, let me, all right, Brad, can you speak, Brad?
Yes, sorry about this.
We got you, we got you.
We're
Okay,
having a rough time this morning. Brad, could you please state your name and address again for the record?
Yes, Brad Gold, 132 East Delaware Place, 6102, Chicago, Illinois, 60611.
And you're the manager of the applicant, right?
Yes,
And the applicant is also the legal title holder for the subject property at 3322 North Halsted, right?
yes,
And Taft, as your counsel, submitted proposed findings of fact, including an affidavit that set forth your testimony that was signed by you in connection with the matter that we're discussing today, right?
yes,
And if you were to continue to testify today, your testimony would be consistent with the proposed findings of fact in your affidavit, is that right?
yes.
Thank you. We're happy to answer any questions that the board might have. All of the special use and variation standards are responses to the standards are set forth in detail in the affidavit and proposed findings of fact, but thank you for your consideration of this matter.
yeah,
And
I have a follow-up on the hardship aspect of this. Because we got a standard lot, correct? And it seemed like the argument was being made that, well, the lots around you are bigger and that's the hardship.
I would ask George if you could outline the hardships that we identified.
Sure. So that, the subject property is just about one block north of the intersection of Belmont, Clark, and Halsted, right? So it's a busy commercial node. And the streets that radiate from it are developed with commercial uses or mixed use ground floor, residential with commercial above. And it's true, a lot of the lots south of here near that intersection, which is typically true of commercial areas, are deeper than your typical 125-foot lot that's subdivided, throughout the city's residential areas. The commercial and residential development lots are generally built lot line to lot line with no side yards. So what that does is that forces a situation where you kind of have to do, you either have to do a larger unit that isn't really marketable. You have to do two units, one facing forward and one facing aft. That arrangement, it makes it difficult to get a 30-foot setback on a 125-foot lot. So that the practical difficulty really emerges from the building type that's being, developed here and that's common in this area, and the need to sort of do two units per floor instead of a single unit per floor.
And another thing I will bring up here is on the financial hardship, since we actually submitted this, construction costs and financing costs have drastically increased, and our returns on this probably have been cut in half on that. And then also with the neighboring buildings, to accommodate them, we had to cut the building in at the back half of the building to set it in, which we normally would not do, which decreased square footage as well.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, we will take this matter under advisement.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Next up is 468-22-Z. This is 8235 South Marshfield. you are here in objection or support of this matter, please raise your hand and we will get you promoted. Okay, I think we've got everybody. Greg Phillips, could you state your name and address, please? You're muted right now.
Am I okay now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay.
1742 Heather Hill Crescent, HeAtherhill Crescent, Crescent, Flossmoor, Flossmoor, Illinois, 60422.
And your name, please?
Gregory Phillips, GregoryPhillips.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
Yes.
Thank you. Luis Martinez, can you state your name and address, please?
Luis Martinez. Address is 2450 West Division.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Counselor Fatikas, you have no objectors. You may proceed with the short form and then we'll open it up for board questions.
Great, thank you. I just want to make sure you can hear me, Chairman. I'm using a new system, so I just want to make sure the voice is coming through.
It's coming through loud and clear.
All right, perfect. So again, good afternoon. For the record, my name is Nick Fatikas, and I'm one of the attorneys at the law offices of Sam Banks. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Mr. Greg Phillips. The applicant owns the subject property at 8235 South Marshfield. The subject lot measures 30 feet wide by 124.71 feet deep, and it's improved with a 3-story residential building containing 4 apartment units. The issue that brings us before the board today relates to the number of legally established units. During zoning review, the city reviewers concluded that only 3 of the 4 units were permitted. The garden unit was deemed out of compliance. However, when the applicant purchased the property back in 2012, he obtained a zoning certificate recognizing 4 legal units at the property. And a copy of that zoning certificate for 4 units was included with our finding of facts submittal. The applicant is now in the process of permitting remodel work at the property. And in order to obtain permits for that work, he first has to bring the unit count into compliance. So in order to do that, we're seeking a variation to reduce the minimum lot area required for 4 residential units from 1,000 square feet per unit to 935.35 square feet per unit. And I just want to be clear that the existing building footprint, the existing unit total, and the existing lot conditions will effectively remain unchanged. It's only an interior build out or interior work that would occur as part of this project. I have again the 2 witnesses you've already sworn in, Mr. Greg Phillips and our project architect, Luis Martinez. And if I can, I call Greg as my first witness.
Yes.
Greg, again, you own the subject property at 8235 South Marshfield.
Yes.
And as I stated, it's improved with a 3-story, 4-unit residential building.
Yes.
And when you purchased the property in 2012, there were 4 residential units in the building. Is that right?
Yes.
And you actually obtained a zoning certificate for 4 residential units or recognizing 4 residential units when you purchased the property, correct?
Yes, because I was trying to make it known that it was a 4-unit and I wanted it in writing.
Right. So, and you've not had any issues with the Department of Buildings or Department of Zoning regarding the unit count since your purchase of the property in 2012. Is that right?
Yes.
And now, again, you're going in for a permit to do some remodel work, and the issue of the unit count has come up.
Yes.
And again, we're before the board seeking a variation to effectively permit the existing number of units, at least that number that's existed since you purchased the property again in 2012, right?
Yes.
And provided the board approves the variation, you intend to continue to rent the units on the open market.
Yes,
And you've provided the board with a economic summary detailing the projected costs as well as the anticipated return for your project. Is that right?
yes,
And Greg, is it your understanding that my office filed witness statements on your behalf in this case?
yes,
And if you were to continue to testify, would your testimony be consistent with the statements we provided?
yes,
Thank you. Louis, you're also with us? And again, you're a licensed architect in the state of Illinois,
Yes, that's correct.
and you prepared the plans for, again, effectively permitting the 4 existing residential units at the subject property. Is that right?
That's correct.
And it's your opinion that inconsistent building permit history and the existing non-conforming layout of the units is the practical hardship that we're seeking to overcome with the requested variation. Is that right?
Yes,
And again, the 10% reduction, which is we're actually well within the 10% reduction, is the standard allowed by code with the variation, correct?
yes, that's correct.
And Louis, is it your understanding that my office filed witness statements on your behalf in this case?
Yes,
And if you were to continue to testify, would your testimony be consistent with the statements we provided?
yes, it would be.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, that concludes the applicant's case in chief. We'd be happy to answer any questions you or the board members have about our request.
Any questions from the board? All right, hearing none, we will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up is 469-22-Z. This is 849 North Winchester. If you're here in objection or support of this matter, please raise your hand and we will get you promoted.
Chairman, we should have 2 witnesses, Mr. Ken Motu and then Leanne Hudson as our project architect.
Yeah, trying to promote Leanne. Let me see if I can find Ken.
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Ah, there we go. We got you. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
I don't know how
you.
to get the camera on.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Let's start with Ken. Can you state your name and address, please?
Ken Motu, 1510 Woodland Drive, Deerfield, Illinois, 60015.
Do you
In my office, it's 709 North Milwaukee Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, 60642.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
I do.
Thank you. And Leanne, could you state your name and address, please?
Yes, Leanne Houston's 949 North Wolcott, 60622.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
I do.
Thank you. Counselor Fatikas, you have no objectors. You can proceed with the short form and we'll open it up for board questions.
Thank you again. For the record, Nick Fatikas from the law offices of Sam Banks. I'm here on behalf of the applicant 849 North Winchester LLC. That entity owns the subject property at 849 North Winchester. The subject lot is improved with a 2-story, 4-unit principal building located at the front and a detached 1-story accessory building at the rear. The applicant is proposing to utilize the newly enacted additional dwelling unit ordinance and permit a 2nd floor coach house unit above the accessory structure. In order to permit the unit and provide open stair ingress and egress to that unit, the applicant is seeking variations to reduce the subject lot's rear setback, north side setback, and combined side setback total. I do have 2 witnesses again available to testify. Sworn in are Mr. Ken Motu and Leanne Hudstons. I'm sorry about that. And with that, I'd ask to call Ken as my first witness.
Okay.
Ken, again, you're the managing member of the applicant 849 North Winchester LLC.
Yes.
And that entity owns the subject property at 849 Winchester. Is that right?
Yeah, correct.
And as I described it, the property is improved with a 2-story, 4-unit principal building. And as you can see on the screen now, a 1-story coach or 1-story accessory building, right?
Correct.
And today that building is used exclusively for parking, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And you're now planning to use the additional dwelling unit ordinance to permit a second floor addition of the accessory building and permit a new coach house unit in that space.
Correct.
And variations are needed to permit that so that the addition follows the existing building wall lines of the accessory structure.
Correct.
And Ken, provided the board grants the relief, your plan is to rent the new coach house unit on the open market?
Correct.
And again, you've provided the board with a economic summary of the anticipated costs as well as your anticipated return for that unit.
Correct.
And Ken, is it your understanding that my office filed witness statements on your behalf in this case?
Yes. Correct.
And if you were to continue to testify, would that testimony be consistent with the statements we provided?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Leanne, you're still with us?
Yes,
Again, you're a licensed architect in the state of Illinois,
yes, I am.
and you designed the proposed coach house unit or second floor addition to the accessory building at the rear of the subject property. Is that right?
Yes,
And is it your professional opinion that the accessory building's existing footprint and specifically its location on the subject lot creates the practical hardship the variation is intended to overcome?
yes,
And again, that's because without the variations, we can't permit a code compliant exterior staircase to provide the required means of ingress and egress to that second floor unit. Is that right?
yes,
And again, also the coach house itself or the accessory structure itself was built favoring the north side of the subject lot, correct?
yes,
And that detail is shown both on your site plan as well as the survey for the property, right?
yes,
And so that we're clear, we're not proposing to change the footprints of either the principal building or the accessory structure. We're simply trying to build on top of the existing wall lines of that accessory structure. Right?
yes,
Thank you. Leanne, is it your understanding that my office filed witness statements on your behalf in this case?
yes,
And if you were to continue to testify, would your testimony be consistent with the statements we provided?
yes, it would be.
Thank you very much. Chairman, again, that was a little bit of the short form. We'd be more than happy to answer any questions you or the board members have about the project.
Any questions from the board? All right, hearing none, we will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is 470-22-Z, 471-22-Z, and 472-22-Z. This is 5532 North Olcott. If you're here in support or objection of these matters, please raise your hand and we'll get you promoted. You have two witnesses for this one as well, Counselor?
Two witnesses again. Yes, sir.
Yes, I think we've got both of them. Bruce, could you state your name and address, please? Bruce Blair? Can see that you're here, but we cannot hear you. We'll come back to you. Oh, there we go.
I'm Bruce. Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
I'm Bruce Blair. I'm at 5860 North Kenmore Avenue here in Chicago.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
I do.
Thank you. Agim, can you unmute and state your name and address, please? We can't hear you. You're unmuted, but we cannot hear you. Kamal, are you able to tell what the issue is with a game why we can't hear a game?
Agim, can you please exit and rejoin or dial in, please?
Hmm.
Chairman, in the interest of time, do you want me to maybe do the introduction and I can call Mr. Blair and hopefully we can get the applicant on the phone line?
I'm actually wondering if maybe we should just you still have more, right?
Yeah, I think the next 6 matters.
Yeah, so let's pass this so that Agim can get this figured out.
Okay.
And we'll come back.
Okay, perfect.
All right, so we are going to move on to 473-22-Z and 474-22-Z. This is 1425 North Campbell. And actually, do we have the same witnesses that we just had for?
Yes,
for-
yes, sir. It's
Okay.
Ken and Leanne are the 2 witnesses on this project as well.
Okay. Okay, we've got Leanne.
Okay. I'm here.
Is that Ken?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so we've got Ken Motu and Leanne Houstons. Both of them have been sworn in already today.
Perfect. Okay,
Correct.
so again, for the record, Nick Fatikas from the Law Offices of Sam Banks. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, 1425 North Campbell LLC. That entity owns the subject property at 1425 North Campbell Avenue. The subject lot measures 25 feet wide by 126.4 feet deep, and it's approved with a 2-story, 2-unit principal building at the front and a 3-story, 3-unit coach house at the rear. Now, the applicant purchased the property in October of 2021. Earlier this summer, the applicant submitted a permit application for interior renovations to the existing structures. During zoning review, the city reviewer determined that the existing dormer addition to the coach house at the rear of the property had not been permitted. Although we're unable to date the dormer's original construction, our team believes it's at least 50 years old based on the building materials and conversations the owners had with neighbors in the immediate area. So certainly not a new feature for the building. Still, the applicant is before the board today seeking variations to bring the existing building and lot conditions into full compliance so we can then move forward with the originally proposed renovation project. And again, more specifically, the applicant is seeking variations to increase the allowable floor area total, reduce the north side setback and the combined side setback total, and reduce the rear setback, all of which relate to the coach house dormers at the rear of the lot. Our same 2 witnesses, again, Mr. Ken Motu on behalf of the applicant and Leanne Houstons, our project architect. And with that, I'd like to call Mr. Motu as my first witness.
Okay.
Ken, you are the managing member of the applicant, 1425 North Campbell LLC.
Correct.
And that entity owns 1425 North Campbell Avenue, right?
Correct.
The property, as I explained, is already improved with a 2-story principal building at the front and a 3-story coach house building at the rear, correct?
Correct.
And again, during zoning review on a interior renovation project, it was determined that the dormer additions to the coach house were not ever permitted, right?
Yes.
And your process today or your application today is to bring those dormers into compliance with the ordinance so that you can move forward with the renovation project, right?
Correct.
So effectively, we're trying to keep what we have, bring it into compliance, and then update the building from there.
That's right.
And again, provided the board approves the relief, your plan is to maintain ownership of the property and continue to rent the units on the open market.
Yes,
And you've provided the board with a summary of your projected costs as well as your anticipated return after the renovation project is complete.
correct.
And it's your understanding that my office filed witness statements on your behalf in this case?
Yes,
And if you were to continue to testify, that testimony would be consistent with the statements we provided. Is that right?
that is correct.
Thank you. Leanne, again, you were the project architect for the proposed interior renovation project originally. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm mute.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm back.
Okay, let me ask the question again. You were the project architect on the original renovation program?
Yes,
And you also, after zoning review, prepared the plans for the existing conditions for the entire property. Is that right?
yes, that's correct.
And is it your professional opinion that the existing non-conforming conditions, and in particular, the existing coach house footprint, which favors the north side of the lot, along with the unpermitted dormers, are the hardships the variations are intended to overcome?
Yes, absolutely.
But to be clear, we're not proposing to further expand either the principal building or the coach house structure. Is that right?
Yes,
The requested variations are specifically aimed at bringing the existing conditions into compliance.
yes,
And Leanne, is it your understanding that my office filed witness statements on your behalf in this case?
yes,
And if you were to continue to testify, would that testimony be consistent with the statements we provided?
yes, it would be.
Thank you very much. Again, Mr. Chairman, that was a bit of a short form. I'd be happy to answer any questions you or the board members have about our program.
Any questions from the board? Hearing none, we will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank
Thank
you. Let's see if we can go back, Counselor, to 470-22-Z, 471-22-Z, and 472-22-Z. This is 5532 North Olcott. If you are here in objection or support of this matter, please raise your hand and we will get you promoted. All right, Agim, can you state your name and address, please?
Hi, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Excellent. It's Agim Perelku, 5532 North Olcott Avenue in Chicago.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Counselor, did I swear Bruce Blair in already?
I don't believe so. I think we were waiting. So if, just to be safe.
Yeah, let's do it.
Bruce,
Bruce, could you state your name and address, please?
My name is Bruce Blair. I'm at 5860 North Kenmore Avenue here in Chicago.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in today's proceedings?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Counselor Vitikas, you have no objectors. You can proceed with the short form.
Great, thank you so much. Again, Chairman, for the record, Nick Fatikas from the law offices of Sam Banks. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Agim Perkulu. The applicant owns and lives at the subject property at 5532 North Olcott with his family. The subject site consists of a single zoning lot that measures 40 feet wide by 124.89 feet deep. And the property is improved with a 2.5-story single-family home and a detached garage at the rear of the lot. It's important to note that the subject property, as well as many of the neighboring lots on our side of the street, do not have access to a public alley. So vehicle access is provided by a front driveway, again, at the front of the lot. Now, the applicant purchased the property in 2008, and he obtained variations from the board for the construction of the existing home. And for the record, that work was part of calendar number 23508Z. And again, once the home was finished, Agim and his family moved in and have lived in the property ever since. The applicant is now proposing to construct a second and third floor rear addition to provide his family with additional living space. Specifically, the third floor plan was designed to provide a new bedroom for one of his 3 children. In order to permit the addition, the applicant is seeking variations to reduce the front setback, the south side setback, the combined side setback total, reduce the technical rear yard open space requirement, and increase the allowable floor area by 0.09 FAR, or approximately 449.4 square feet. Now, during zoning review, the city identified inconsistencies between the 2008 plan set and the proposed addition plan set, which is why part of the variation description today reads as-built dormers. There are existing dormers at the top level, and that space has been used as inactive storage or attic space to this point. We actually provided photos of the interior of that space with our findings of fact submittal. And as you can see, I don't know if Jeanette can get to it, but the space itself is only being used at this point for storage, and it's actually unfinished above. The point, though, is that the proposed second and third floor, again, would follow the existing sidewall line straight back. And this project and the variation application allows us to bring the existing conditions into compliance, as well as permit the proposed additions off the rear of the home. And even so, while this is a RS2 zoning lot, underlining zoning lot, the proposed height total is within the allowance and otherwise complies with that district. I just wanted to explain that and give the board a little bit more color as to where we're at in the process. So again, we do have Agim and Bruce available to testify, and I would like to call Agim as my first witness.
Okay.
Agim, you and your family own the subject property at 5532 North Olcott?
Yes.
And as I stated, you purchased the property in 2008?
Yes.
And you built the existing single-family home that sits on the property today, is that right?
Yes.
And as I explained, you're now proposing to construct a second and third floor rear addition to give your family more room physically to live in, is that right?
Correct.
And in order to permit the addition so that, again, it aligns with the existing building footprint, you're seeking variations, is that right?
Yes.
And provided the board approves the variations, you intend to continue to live in the home with your family, correct?
Yes.
Now, before we conclude your testimony, is it true that you spoke with many of your immediate neighbors about the subject, or about our proposal?
Yes.
And in full disclosure, 2 of your immediate neighbors are actually your parents, right?
Correct.
So we're pretty comfortable that they're not going to be objecting today, correct?
Yes. Yes.
And you also met with your neighbor to the south, who you've known now for a series for many years as your neighbor, right?
Yes.
And there are no objections from that immediate neighbor either, right?
Yes.
And again, it's your understanding that my office filed witness statements on your behalf in this case?
Yes.
And if you were to continue to testify, your testimony would be consistent with the statements we provided. Is that right?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Bruce, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Bruce, you are a licensed architect in the state of Illinois,
Yes, I am.
and you prepared the program for the proposed additions at the rear of the subject property. Is that right?
Yes.
And it's your professional opinion that the home's existing footprint, which was again permitted with previously issued or previously approved variations, the unique lot size and shape, and the lack of alley access altogether create the practical difficulties or particular hardships the variations are intended to overcome. Is that right?
Yes.
And Bruce, with respect to the front setback, it's a bit more technical in nature because we're not proposing to change the location of the front building wall. Is that right?
That's right.
And that's a similar analysis is true for the side setback relief, because again, the proposed rear additions would follow the existing building wall line straight back, right?
Yes.
And while we are technically encroaching into the open space requirement, your plan maintains over 500 square feet of open space behind the home, adjacent to the detached garage at the rear of the lot. Is that right?
Yes.
And lastly, with respect to the FAR increase, based on the RS2 underlining zoning district, it's the only means for permitting additional floor area at the property. Is that right?
Yes.
And still though, it is your professional opinion that the proposed addition and the resulting single-family home will remain consistent and compatible with the other single-family homes in this subject area. Is that right?
Yes, I believe it will be.
And that's at least in part because the focus of the work that's being proposed is again at the rear of the property and will not impact or change the streetscape appearance of the home at all, right?
Right. Yes.
Bruce, is it your understanding that my office filed witness statements on your behalf in this case?
Yes.
And if you were to continue to testify, would that testimony be consistent with the statements we provided?
Yes, it would be.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, that concludes the applicant's case in chief. We'd be happy to answer any questions you have about our project.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, we will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are going to do things a little differently today. For those who normally are with us, we usually vote on all of the matters at the end of the day. But I am going to propose that we move into closed session now to deliberate and vote on the matter, deliberate on the matters that we've heard this morning. We'll come back into open session and vote. And then after that, we're going to take a recess for lunch, and then we'll come back and finish the rest of the day. So I move that we convene into closed session pursuant to Section 2C4 of the Open Meetings Act for the purposes of considering the evidence and testimony presented in open session. For those viewing by live stream, we will return from our closed session and the live stream will continue at that point. Commissioner Toya seconds. Commissioner McDonald?
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito?
Yes.
Commissioner Toya?
Yes.
I vote yes. We're in closed session.
Chairman, this is tech support. So you'll come back, deliberate, and then go for lunch, right?
We are going to deliberate. We're going to come back into open session to vote, and then I'm going to move for recess for lunch.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I move that we return to open session. Commissioner Toya seconds, Commissioner McDonald,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Toya.
Yes.
I vote yes, we are back. We will now vote. Note that any motion to approve a special use will be tied to the recommendations of the department and any additional conditions read by me. First, I move to approve all withdrawal requests. Commissioner Toya seconds, Commissioner McDonald,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Toya.
Yes.
I vote yes, the withdrawal requests are approved. I move to approve application for calendar number 456-22-S. Commissioner Toya seconds, Commissioner McDonald,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Toya.
Yes.
I vote yes, the matter is approved. I move to approve application for calendar number 457-22-S. Commissioner Toya seconds, Commissioner McDonald,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Toya.
Yes.
I vote yes, the matter is approved. I move to approve application for calendar number 458-22-S. Commissioner Toya seconds, Commissioner McDonald,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Toya.
Yes.
I vote yes, the matter is approved. I move to approve application for calendar number 459-22-S. Commissioner Toya seconds, Commissioner McDonald,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Toya.
Yes.
I vote yes, the matter is approved. I move to approve application for calendar number 460-22-Z and 461-22-Z. Commissioner Toya seconds, Commissioner McDonald,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Toya.
Yes.
I vote yes, the matters are approved. I move to approve application for calendar number 462-22-S. Commissioner Toya seconds, Commissioner McDonald,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Toya.
Yes.
I vote yes, the matter is approved. I move to approve application for calendar number 463-22-S. Commissioner Toya seconds, Commissioner McDonald,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Toya.
Yes.
I vote yes, the matter is approved. I move to approve application for calendar number 464-22-Z. Commissioner Toya seconds, Commissioner McDonald,
Commissioner Sanchez, are we skipping 285 for now? I think we heard 285 out of order.
I mean 485. We'll get to it.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, 464, yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Toya.
Yes.
I vote yes, the matter is approved. I move to approve application for calendar numbers 465-22-S and 466-22-Z. Commissioner Toya seconds, Commissioner McDonald,
Yes.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Toya.
Yes.
I vote yes, the matters are approved. I move to approve application for calendar number 468-22-Z. Commissioner Toya seconds, Commissioner McDonald,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Toya.
Yes.
I vote yes, the matter is approved. I move to approve application for calendar number 469-22-Z. Commissioner Toya seconds, Commissioner McDonald,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Toya.
Yes.
I vote yes, the matter is approved. I move to approve application for calendar numbers 470-22-Z, 471-22-Z, and 472-22-Z. Commissioner Toya seconds, Commissioner McDonald,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Toya.
Yes.
I vote yes, the matters are approved. I move to approve application for calendar numbers 473-22-Z and 474-22-Z. Commissioner Toya seconds, Commissioner McDonald,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Toya.
Yes.
I vote yes, the matters are approved. I move to approve application for calendar number 485-22-S. Commissioner Toya seconds, Commissioner McDonald,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Toya.
Yes.
I vote yes, the matter is approved. Okay, now I move that we recess for lunch until let's say 1:35. Commissioner Toya seconds, Commissioner McDonald,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Toya.
Yes.
I vote yes, we are in recess until 1:35.